Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
All right.
Give me 1 second. I just gotta stream this to YouTube.
You mind if I get a link too?
Yeah, I'll send all the links over.
All
I'll
right.
need a minute, please. Okay, I sent you guys the link, and I'll tweet it out, and then I'll tag you guys in the tweet as well, and you can retweet that.
Where did you message it? Sorry, I'm mute.
Oh, sorry, in Skype.
In Skype. Very well. Your Skype handle again, Achilles? Oh, it's Achilles.
Yeah.
So you guys having a good day?
Yeah, man.
Extremely busy.
I hear you.
Okay, everything's been sent out to you guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but right now my Twitter feed is. I asked one little question, and there's this. Fuck it, I'll explain later.
Okay.
Well, with Thunderclap going on, it's probably really hectic. We're probably getting new people coming in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dealing with the usual crap, but yeah, go ahead. Well, when are you broadcasting this?
It's broadcasting now.
Oh, we're live?
Mm-hmm.
Very well.
I just wanted to make sure everything is done. I tried to do as much as I could beforehand, but I got Skype all set up with XSplit. It was working great, and then Skype just started crashing randomly.
Right on.
You might want to try OBS next time. It's better for non-gaming stuff.
What's OBS?
I would be lying if I told you I
Open
knew what the
Broadcast
acronym.
Software. Gotcha.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
No, thank you for that. I will download that. Okay. So, you guys know the format. I discussed it with both of you previously. We'll do introductions. I'll give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves, say what you guys do and how you guys are involved with GamerGate, or what brought you to GamerGate, sorry. And from there, I will give a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about, and then I will have RogueStar explain Vox Populi, and then we can get counterpoint from Squaff, and then we'll go back
Actually,
and forth.
wait. I'm talking last here. That was discussed last night. Squaff can talk.
Yeah, but you
can
said
do
you
his
just wanted to explain. You just wanted to explain Vox Populi, and that's absolutely
Yeah, I'll
fine.
explain Vox Populi right when I start speaking. But I'll be talking last on this one. Squaff can do his thing, then I can do my thing. Good to go?
So that we got it straight, do you want to go question, answer, or do you want me to
you'll
just
be
say...
So Squaff, you'll be asking the first question, and RogueStar will be responding. But RogueStar is just going to give us a quick rundown of Vox Populi from his perspective first. Sound good?
Wait, I'm speaking first all of a sudden?
Well, we just... from what I was told, like you were going to give a rundown of Vox Populi so everybody knows what we're talking about first. That way when I ask you a question, nobody's confused. Is that okay? I mean,
it's just to explain it to the people that may not understand.
All right, let's go with introductions first. Go right ahead.
All right, so Sorry?
The host should start. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take care of that. Don't worry, guys. Just one thing that we want to make sure that there is no crosstalk. We'll let each person finish their point, and then you guys will have a chance to respond. I won't be cutting you guys off unless we're running a little bit long, and in which case I will ask you to wrap it up. But other than that, you guys will have free reign to speak. Okay? Can we both respect that we're not going to interrupt each other?
Sure.
Perfect.
I'm good with that.
All right. I will be starting in 1 second. Okay.
This was named GamerGate Debate. All right. I wasn't told there was a debate.
It's not really a debate, but I thought it was a good name.
Yeah, very well. Because I have. Here's my thing. I have no questions for you, Squaff. Plain and simple. You have questions for me, that's it. But this is not a debate for me.
Okay.
That's fine with me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded better than GamerGate explanation. Just a debate because it sounded good. All right, guys. We'll be starting in 5, 4, 3. Welcome, everybody, to GamerGate Debate. This one won't technically be a debate. We'll just be doing a Q&A about Operation Vox Populi. Joining me today, I have at SecretSquaff, who started the infamous secret Skype call, as well as at RogueStar, who created and coined Operation Vox Populi. We'll have RogueStar first explain what Operation Vox Populi is from his point of view. Please.
So, my name is RogueStar. Well, I go by the handle RogueStar. My name is actually Slade Vienna. I'm a GamerGate supporter, also a game dev programmer. Been working behind the scenes on all of this. Have had myself censored on sites like Gamasutra. I've experienced everything that's coming from the Game Journal Pros sort of cabal. You can ask me questions later about that one. Yes, I'm the one who coined a small operation, Operation Vox Populi. It was meant to last for a day, and I'm here to explain all of it.
Now, on your point of view, what is Operation Vox Populi for the uninitiated?
So, the core of Operation Vox Populi is this. It is simply a tweak to the emailing campaign where you add twit longers and the company handle that you're trying to address. While you're writing your email campaign that's been part of GamerGate right now, we're basically emailing a whole bunch of advertisers targeting all these corrupt media sites so that we can take advertising money away from them. It was also a tweak to the times that we should do. Well, it's more of a suggestion to when we start writing these emails. Basically, Sundays and Wednesdays instead of writing your emails every day. It was a suggestion because people might get tired writing emails all day. They might get mentally drained from that, and the movement needs to keep that momentum where we can keep the pressure on the companies to keep paying attention to GamerGate while we give ourselves some rest. Sunday was chosen because Sunday you write the emails. Monday morning, these advertisers and various firms will have to head into us and address our movement at the beginning of the week. Wednesday was chosen because before the end of the week, all these new emails will come out, then these companies will have to address us before they clock out of the weekend. So you complete that saturation by just shifting to both days. And yeah, that's the core of Operation Vox Populi. That is the condensed version of all of it.
All right.
And I'll explain the other part of that once I get to speak.
Well, please, if there's another part, feel free to do so now.
Sure.
And could you also speak on what the we know what the intent was, and what was the desired result of doing this as well? If you could talk about that.
I'll start with what was not broadcast and what wasn't included into the general plan. So everything I described about Operation Vox Populi so far, I went on various live streams explaining, hey, let's tweak our emails, let's shift to Sunday. Here's a Google document to show that. Instructions on how to do it, like a little manual. It's just one page. I explained this to a lot of GamerGate Twitter people who had lots of following. They supported it. They liked the idea. We kept it hush-hush on the details. Announced it on Sunday only. So that was my first intention. I could have broadcast Operation Vox Populi as soon as everybody liked the idea, and simple. But the other part of that was I wanted to see if I can poke enemy forces, basically enter GamerGate, that have been harassing us, black PR, all sorts of basically seedy people that have been working in Twitter, have been working in Skype, have been working in the IRCs, have been working in various forums and boards, including even 8chan now. So what I wanted to do was, hey, let's organize GamerGate in one event. Just get everybody paying attention to the same event. I wanted to see how the enemy forces would react to something that is planned, something that is timed, and something that is unknown. That was Operation Vox Populi, and let me let me get the entire tactical briefing on this that I've been explaining to various people for numerous times already. It's hard to explain because a lot of people, I understand that there's some disinformation, and yeah, I posted that Twitter on here. I'll post it to your Skype as well, Keelys.
Thank you.
But, the plan was something that's a planned event, try to get as many people in GamerGate as possible, something that is timed, where there's one location, one time, hey, be here, and something that's unknown to the enemy forces. My announcement for that, I believe I started on Thursday night. Trying to remember, but that was a hazy time. It was either Thursday or Friday night. We announced something big was happening on Sunday, October 5th, when we launched Operation Vox Populi. Now, just explaining the core of it on Operation Vox Populi, it's basically a Google document. Anybody can copy the tactics from it. I don't care. Just word it the way you want it. It's just hosted on my site. And what happened was an entire salvo of all enemy forces that are trying to attack GamerGate on numerous fronts. There's all this posting of like old topics that were clearly like, hey, we've already talked about that in GamerGate. It's proven X. So old topics, a lot of disinformation that's been spread around forums, spread around Twitter, spread around the escapists, spread around 8chan, spread around the IRC logs. I wasn't in those channels. I wasn't like monitoring them. These are reports that came to me after the day of Operation Vox Populi. Basically, what else? There's some game dev trying to attack Milo on the character thing of, I don't know, some weird political stuff and trying to pin it on GamerGate. It's just surreal. Basically, the weekend of October 5th, well, between October 3rd and October 5th, there was just a lot of enemy activity. It blew up. Everything.
Now, when you say enemy activity, who are you referring to?
I'm referring to basically what I would call black PR. These are people who are paid to spread a lot of disinformation, a lot of misinformed stuff, people who are paid to do character assassinations on prominent GamerGaters. Like, just to put me as an example, I had, when I launched Operation Vox Populi, I had Skype and Twitter abuse API handled on me. I saw my feed blow up with random Ask FM questions from people who weren't even attached through GamerGate, and they were tagging GamerGate with this, like, RogueStar should stop lying to X, and we were like, what? What else? Lots of disinformation, lots of forum posting. I mean, it's quite obvious that there's Twitter bots, Skype bots. Oh, that's the other thing.
Who do you think would be the source of these Twitter bots and Skype bots?
Well, they're web dev savvy. That's what I know.
Do you know that they may be? Do you have any theories of who they might be funded by, or where they might have been organized?
I can have a theory, but these it's such a wide field because you can either hire third world web devs who will like from Pakistan. If you Google this thing called the problem with Facebook, it's a video detailing a very critical problem in Facebook itself. It shows, Pakistani bots abusing Facebook likes. They're literally click farms. What else? There's also, Silicon Valley, as proven so far in many GamerGate things and happenings. There have been web dev companies who, like, let's say GitHub, who are sympathetic to anti-GamerGate and sympathetic to the noise that's been happening. And these people essentially have web savvy on them. They either have web savvy or they have access to third world, developing nation click farms where you can plant this piece of technology and have them click all day. But to me, that's my theory. I can't prove that. I don't have, like, a honeypot of IPs or whatever. But what I can show in Operation Vox Populi, my written record, and lots of eyewitness reports, including a lot of people that I don't want to name because I don't want to have to fucking drag them into this stupid debate where I have to keep fucking explaining myself, especially with my character assassinations, where I don't know. I don't even want to discuss it anymore after this. The point is, Operation Vox Populi was just simply, hey, everybody, tweak your emails and tweak your campaigns. How did the enemy react? They reacted in full frickin' force around that weekend. That's why a lot of people are so stressed out, and a lot of people are, fighting, and a lot of people are eating shill bait and just odd misinformation about Gamergate. So Operation Vox Populi wanted to see enemy forces. What we got was the full capabilities of what they are willing to do to Gamergate. They're willing to spread a lot of misinformation using web tech. They're willing to hire black PR to spread misinformation all over the forums involved in Gamergate, and they're willing to do character assassinations on all people like me. I'm like a low-class D-celebrity on the fucking thing on this, willing to character assassinate us just so they can cause a lot of confusion and a lot of discord in Gamergate itself. That's proof.
All right, so what we've established so far, we'll do a quick recap. We know the intent. The intent was to gather up the Gamergate forces, have them in an organized email campaign against the advertisers of blogs that have been saying mistruthful or untruthful things about Gamergate.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
basically tweaking the already existing campaign of Operation Disrespectful Nod, and it was a simple tweak. I've explained this to Becca that the core of Operation.
When he says Becca, he's referring to another YouTuber and Gamergate supporter, IRIBRISE.
Yes, I went on live streams to explain the core of Operation Vox Populi. You can find them on Whiskey Grenade. You can find them on the Ralph Report. You can find them on King of Pole. I mean, I was there all day. I was explaining the core, but I didn't report my findings, like complete enemy force reaction to this, until the day after, because I wasn't even in 8chan during that time. I wasn't even browsing around IRC. In fact, I'm banned from the IRC channels. So
for the uninitiated, we know why you got involved being a game developer and caring about Gamergate. We know why what the intent was of Operation Vox Populi was to organize the masses, and we also know what the response was a mass counter-harassment campaign against people like you and other prominent Gamergaters.
Not just me. They were targeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what you discovered was that they were using bots, misinformation, fake accounts, and spam in order to try to silence what you had to say.
Not just that. Also, there was a lot of people who all of a sudden disappeared from Gamergate, all of a sudden brought back in. That, to me, that's suspicious. There were a lot of, I hate to say this word, there were a lot of shills out there, as in, these guys.
When you say shill, what do you mean by shill? So for the uninitiated.
Yeah, a shill is basically a person who's paid to do black PR. These people either try to hijack a campaign or try to hijack a movement and try to sway it to their own persuasions, try to make money from it. They're also humans who are, human agents who are essentially paid to spread misinformation.
Okay, and I think we covered most of the bases there, and you gave a
Yeah.
very good rundown of what Operation Vox Populi was. The manifesto will be linked inside the YouTube.
Yeah, and I'm kind of upset that it had to get structured where I spoke first because of circumstances right here. This is not what I agreed to. What I agreed to was Squaff is going to ask his questions. He's going to do his thing, and I get to explain myself. But now,
Absolutely.
but now I have to explain myself and turn again on the format that was agreed upon. So that's a
Well,
straight on you, dude.
when we initially spoke, you said you would like an opportunity to explain what it was from your point of view. So I thought because when we were starting this off, we have to explain it to the people who don't know what the operation is. There's going to be a lot of people that are unsure what
Yeah.
Operation Vox Populi is. So instead of starting with just questions, I thought it would be great to have you explain it. And we did discuss that in the Skype chat.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry
Yeah.
if you feel like you're ambushed there. That wasn't my intent.
Yeah.
And
I understand that.
we will get to the Q&A format right away.
And I want to start this off now. Just to squaff, it's let's see. I had basically connections to and contact with Squaff's Skype channel. I originally I didn't want to go on this show, just straight up. I didn't want to go on here. Even Jay didn't want to go on here. Just I don't want to explain the details for all the viewers right now, but Squaff, you guys broke a line of trust. Just
Okay, we can
that's what
get to
happened.
that, but
Yeah.
before that, I
And
want to
right
say I
now,
appreciate
I'm
that.
not coming from an angle of I dislike Squaff. No, this is an angle of I distrust Squaff.
Okay,
So just to open with that, since we've opened with me and the format's all well, this is not what I agreed with, but
it is
yeah.
what you agreed to. You said that you were okay with explaining what
Oh,
Operation
I
Vox
agree with
Populi
that.
was
It's just
initially.
yeah, the timing's off for me. I'm sorry, I'm a little stressed because right now, the campaign against me fucking continues.
Don't worry,
I'm,
we're not here to campaign against you. This is a safe
oh
place.
yeah,
It's
I'm
here.
just saying
We're
where
here
I'm
to
coming from
bring
right now.
understanding
Yeah,
to audiences that may not know what this is. So I do I'm sorry if there was a miscommunication. It wasn't my intent. I do
yeah,
appreciate that
that's
you did begin by explaining the operation from the person who created it. I didn't
yeah,
want to
yeah.
give a poor explanation that may have not have covered the bases, and you provided a really good explanation for those who may not have known.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm sorry if I sound stressed right now, but right now there's literally another GamerGate infighting thread thing, and I'm like, God damn it, I just need this to stop. So
And that's the intent of what this stream is for, is to end the infighting. I feel like since there is a lot of misinformation out there, we'll get both sides to be able to explain themselves in a forum where they feel safe and allow themselves to be heard. Because right now, if you look up the information on Twitter or you look up the information on blogs, you're not getting the full story. Um,
yeah.
is there anything else you'd like to say before we begin the Q&A
Now
portion?
I'd like Squaff to basically explain everything. I will note all his questions, then I will speak.
All right. Squaff, do you agree to that? Is that okay?
Well, I just want to make sure it's clarified. Do you want me to ask all of my questions
Yes.
to begin with? Okay.
Yes.
Is it okay if we go point by point? Because if we ask all the questions, it's going to be very hard for the listeners to follow.
Point by point, I will agree with that.
Okay. Squaff, if you would like to begin, we'll now begin the Q&A portion of the podcast.
Well, I would like to start out by saying my handle everywhere is SecretSquaff, and to show a fig leaf, my Facebook is actually David Wayne, and if you'd like to add me on there to see what I talk about there, that's fine, and that is partially my real name. If you want to, Rogue, I can give you the full thing in private. I would also like to say sorry. If you felt like you were treated poorly in my Skype chat, that is my fault, and I am very sorry for that. If you
Apology
felt that
accepted.
all right. Thank you, Rogue. Now, I'd like to say that what you've been doing, I find it very impressive, but I have some concerns, and I would like to just ask you some questions, provide some things that I've seen, and get your input on it, so that everybody knows where we're both coming from.
All right, I also apologize for some of my followers who may have attacked you in that weird night where we ended up on some goddamn. It was almost like that Sharks versus Jets thing. What's that film? It's a '60s musical with gangs. Damn it, I'm losing the words for it.
West Side Story?
Yeah, yeah, it was like the West Side Story thing between two groups. Let's meet at King of Polchat. That was so fucking strange. Anyway,
Yeah,
I apologize for those guys.
We'll also explain what happened in that regard as well. But in the meantime, Squaff, could you ask your question? And Rogue, if you'd let him finish, please. Thank you.
I'm sorry about that. I just had to jump.
No, I appreciate that you guys were able to at least squash the beef at the very least.
There is no beef anymore.
Perfect.
All right, thank you, Rogue. Now, some of this stuff is going to sound harsh, and I'm going to try to make it sound as reasonable as possible. But
absolutely.
We are talking about areas that are sometimes it's treading legal water, and I just want you to clarify how it's not for everybody else. So there's no more worries about this, and we can just move on. So the first thing that I took umbrage with is that the Vox Populi, it felt like a clone of an already successful campaign, and I wasn't too happy about that because Jade Fox is a gamer and not a game developer, and therefore she's coming at it as a consumer, and that was more appropriate as far as I could tell, and other game devs that I've talked with thought that was more appropriate, and they even supported her on the sidelines, but they couldn't take the
Sorry to interrupt, but could you explain what the previous already successful operation is, as well as who Jade Fox is?
Okay, Jade Fox is she's a YouTube personality, and she's become popular on Twitter because she's taken a very firm stand with us, and I'm very grateful for that. She also started a campaign called Disrespectful Nod, where she kind of assembles information about people that we should boycott, or not people, but companies, and letters that we can write to certain advertisers so that we can get advertising pulled from certain sites that are no longer supporting the gamers that they should be. And I thought that was amazing. The work that she's done, incredible. She had Intel pull out, and that's mind-blowing. That shows what gamers can do when they come together. Is that good enough?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. So my first thing is after we talked to you about the situation, and we were really harsh, and that's my fault. I saw it and I got angry. I didn't mean to say it the way I did, but I'm a very straightforward guy, and that's my fault. You shouldn't have to defend yourself for how I acted. But you said it was a honeypot and that it was a success.
Yes.
And you did get a lot of information, and I find that very impressive that you were able to find these bots and stuff, and I hope they get taken care of. I hope we get them reported out of Twitter and they're just gone. But Devin Frosty, when he found out about your Vox Populi, he actually commented about it. But I noticed that he didn't do any investigation to see what you've been doing to try to slander you with. Like, for instance, if he would have just went to your Twitter and then went to your FleetCom and then looked at your company name and went to the Facebook for it, he would actually see a Facebook post that he could have used to make you look kind of paint you in a bad light,
Okay.
So, for instance, we have this Facebook post that you made. If you don't mind, if I read it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm quoting. This is not a threat. It is a promise. Literally, whose cabal is lucky? I would be grinding and polishing my black hat right now if it weren't for trusted peers and professionals who are holding me back. To the cabal, you have my full attention. #GamerGate. Now, if it was a successful honeypot...
One second. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
So if it was a successful honeypot, why didn't any of your detractors go after your very public information? It took all of a Google search for me to find your company Facebook, which had this tweet on it.
Yeah, so I'm still unclear on your question. What is the question?
Well, you say it's a success, but I see failure, and I'm just wondering if you can verify. Verify why this isn't like important information. Why did they
Okay.
not go after your Facebook?
Basically, my Facebook is pretty hidden. You have to manually search for my Facebook. You're probably, I don't know, I think you're third or second piece connection. From what I understand, you're also a game dev?
Yes,
Okay, there you go. So, game devs will be on the same small circles on that one.
I am
Uh,
not.
that, say what?
I am not on any game dev circles. I do it as a hobby.
Okay, that's cool. But Facebook's algorithm, nonetheless, they create circles and other small networks on its own based on your interests when you post on Facebook. But my Facebook profile, that's me speaking as myself as an individual. Yes, I I said that on Facebook, and I'm not ashamed of it. I am a game developer who's helping this boycott campaign. I'm doing it as an individual. I'm not performing any sort of black hattery or anything like that. People are holding me back on those issues. Yes, I've been open about that. Uh, but right now, what's the nature of the question here?
Well, if it's a honeypot,
Uh-huh.
and you say these people went after you, why would they not go after your Facebook, which is, in fact, mercenary.games, which is one of your companies?
Yeah, they failed on that one, and it's pretty private and secure. I have like here. I used to work for Zynga, so I know how to secure my Facebook profile. That's one of the first things I did because I want to isolate my friends and family away from what I'm doing in GamerGate. The second issue of this one is, where is the honeypot successful? Well, on that day, I turned off my Skype security. Basically, on one of the connections tabs, you can enable Skype to receive various calls from unsolicited sources. So basically, anybody can call you on Skype. I turned that off, and on the Ralph Report stream, when I went up trying to explain Operation Vox Populi, I had to even cut out of that show, and it's on record. I had to cut out of that show for a few moments so I could re-enable my Skype security, and my Skype was blowing up with random repeat calls from just unknown sources. Like, I don't even know these people. There was also character assassination attempts. People who were posting shit information of not just me, but also Internet Aristocrat, Jade. There's even a PR company, I believe it's a PR company, where they were trying to gun for me and my school information and also my past affiliations with, like, I don't know, there are some people, there's this question out there right now. Did Slade Villena used to write for Gama Sutra? Well, yeah, I got shadow banned from there. But some people were wondering if I got paid by Gama Sutra. So I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of misinformation there, obviously, and during Operation Vox Populi, it's not just about me. It was a lot of shit posting out there, dude.
Okay,
It was
so
all over
let's
the
do a
place.
quick recap here. What the question Squaff was asking is if RogueStar was being attacked, why did they not go after his Facebook? Although
Because my
RogueStar
Facebook's secure. That's my answer to that one.
Okay.
Well,
So-
I would like to say that
One second,
it's
boys.
public.
Let me just go through what was already discussed. We just have a quick recap. So when Squaff asked the question about why his Facebook wasn't attacked, RogueStar said it's secure. If you do look up RogueStar, you can find the Facebook. Although I will say that I use Facebook under Rafflecast, but when I speak on there, I'm speaking as myself, not under the LLC of Rafflecast. So I see what RogueStar is saying, and he was attacked on different fronts. If anything, I could see why that may be suspicious, because if you are able to find information about someone, why would you not exploit it? But it just could mean that it was mostly bots that were doing it, and not maybe an intelligent hive mind that's deliberately going after RogueStar, more after those involved in Operation Vox Populi through bots. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, what's fair to say about that is I was not the only target, all right?
Absolutely.
If they went for my Facebook, I'd be gone. Sorry, I can't drag my family into this. I can't drag in my associates and coworkers. It's this is my own thing. The Facebook profile, it's there, but it's pretty secure. So, next question, please.
Although I can see that if you do search RogueStar games, you can find you on Facebook and like your page, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Facebook is pretty, in general, Facebook is a lot more secure than Twitter. It's definitely a lot more secure than freaking Skype.
And is it okay if I link your fan page on Facebook?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Squaff, is that an acceptable answer for you? Did that clear up?
I would just like to clarify. If somebody who wasn't a game dev put in Google not RogueStar, but Mercenary Games, would they not be able to find your Facebook page where you said that?
I think so. I don't Google that kind of stuff, but if they find my Facebook post where I said those things, yes, go right ahead, broadcast it. I'm speaking as an individual.
Maybe just saying that if they were going after you, they did it ineffectively.
I guess so. This
is a good thing, though. We should be glad they did it effectively.
Yeah, I'm glad because they were hitting all over the place. They were freaking out on that weekend, dude. Seriously. I mean, Twitter freaking ask FNs with randoms, and I'm like, wow, they're going nuts at this. And it's a response to a planned event. What was the planned event? I just released a Google Doc. It's got the EFF NSA logo spoof on it. I mean, come on, I was having fun with that. So the enemy reaction was just, I don't know, I got more than I expected.
Okay. Now with Squaff, sorry, are you clarified there? Does that clear up any information that you may have had?
Yeah.
Because when he did release the Operation Vox Populi, he did not release it on Facebook, correct, RogueStar?
Say that again, please. That dropped off.
When you did release Operation Vox Populi, you did not release it on Facebook. It was specific to Twitter.
No.
Then it stands to reason that they would go after the Twitter, maybe not the Facebook.
Yeah, I released it on Twitter only, and my Twitter and my Facebook are not connected.
Okay. I find that an acceptable answer. Is that okay with you, Squaff?
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine.
Perfect. Can we move on to the next question, please?
Sure. I'm still looking to talk about the honeypot stuff, but I'm going to move to a different thing. So there was a Burgers and Fries event that you were a part of, and I believe it was several days where you gathered information about Digra and DARPA and people like Zoe Quinn and what they've been doing.
When was this?
Some time ago, like I don't know, a month ago. Here, let me check.
DARPA? No, it was not part of that event.
Well, you were a part of a Burgers and Fries IRC, though, right?
I was part of it at the beginning of GamerGate, before the hashtag was even invented. What happened was I was banned. I started in this movement banned from GamerGate, 0 followers on Twitter.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
So, but I have like the IRC, and again with the honeypot thing, the IRC was made public during Game Overgate, right?
It was released by literally who, snipping out a bunch of, essentially 4chan shitposts. But yes, that's what the IRC channel was.
So during Vox Populi, I noticed nobody brought up the IRC again, and when we take what you said on Facebook about the Black Hat thing, and you were probably just joking around. I don't mind that. You did mention Black Hat, and I controlled F to find out 43 times in that IRC, and I'd like to quote a bit if you're okay with that.
Go ahead, dude.
Okay. So at this point, and I'm quoting, "We need black hats to get into silver string shekels," and I figured that's a joke. But
Yeah.
It goes on further, and you say that requires black hat. Can we con them into freaking out because they are on freak out mode? We need to push them off the edge. These people have jobs and connections. Can we make their connections freak out too?
Yeah. When was
I think
this
that was
said?
the intent of Vox Populi, was it not, to freak out the current establishment?
I specifically remember those. I believe I was in the IRC before I was banned. This was Burgers and Fries. This is before ZQ freaking posted on it. Yes, the nature of those posts were, both playful and both essentially 4chan shitposting, because at that time, RogueStar was just a handle for me. Yes, it's RogueStar Games, I know. That's one of my other companies. I own both RogueStar Games and Mercenary Games. RogueStar was a handle. Nobody knew that I was, who I am, Sladely, I know, on Facebook. But yeah, you can link all my shitposts, dude. There's even me shitposting, when the camera lady. Remember the first and second camera lady videos go up?
Yeah.
Yeah. If y'all remember that, I was shitposting, because of the ISIS meme. I was saying Allah Akbar, Takbir, Grand Holy War. You can incriminate the entire IRC log just on my shitposts alone. Like, I could be the mastermind behind GamerGate and everything that the media is painting just by my shitposts alone. That's it. So.
Well, it's just like you covered it up before, and I agree with you. They were just really lazy. They didn't grab any of your information. But it seems really odd to me, since literally who had done it before, that nobody else would just re-grab that information. Now, this also goes into another concern that I have, and it's about the possibility that you might have a vendetta. Like you said on Twitter that you actually have a vendetta against Gamasutra, and it's been that way for years.
I admit that. I have a vendetta against this Game Journal Pro cabal that's now infiltrated the independent game community after we looked into Polytron's data. I have a vendetta against Gamasutra, who shadow banned my 3-year blog as a game developer student and as a professional without just telling me, hey, did I break TOS? I have a vendetta against a fucking games industry that supports these kinds of institutions that can and will harm my game dev peers, will smear me, and take everything I take out of context and turn it into a fucking flame war. I did a Reddit AMA back in, let's see, this is early 2012. I just got out of the social game scene. I was a programmer for Zynga. I no longer worked for them. And then there was these accusations thrown at Zynga that they were cloning games and, just the whole business model. So I was like, hey, candid AMA with a programmer from Zynga. Ask me anything on Reddit. One little programmer. And then all of a sudden, the entire Game Journal cabal fucking spreads that into a flame war.
Is that why you were banned from Gamasutra?
Zynga Reddit mercenary. Just Google that. You can see the cache. 5 pages of freaking article upon article on one little AMA.
I'll be posting links to that in the.
There is no question that I have a vendetta. Yeah, as an individual, I have a vendetta against these corrupt game journalists, these corrupt entities in games, and I will go for them.
Yes, now, RogueStar, could I ask you a question? The reason you were banned from Gamasutra, was it because of the AMA?
No, I don't even know why I was banned from Gamasutra. I explained this on, let's see, I explained this on APG Nation. Okay. I write a lot of controversial articles, or articles that get a lot of attention, but they're not really, in the same spirit as most game dev articles and blogs in Gamasutra. I get a lot into heated arguments with people on Gamasutra, and sometimes, these people get pissed off. I pissed off Phil Fish with one of my articles. That
could be enough right there.
I'm sorry?
That could be enough right there, just by getting into altercations or by, having a strong stance could get you banned from Gamasutra.
Well, I would say, I never broke TOS for Gamasutra or anything. I may have had, heated arguments, but,
so you feel that the removal of your
my
blog
entire game dev blog, 3 years of my writing.
Do you have copies of that at all?
Say what?
Do you have copies of that at all?
I have them on web cache, yeah, luckily.
Okay. Just curious. Does that answer your question, Squaff?
Well, actually, I'm not entirely sure I got around to the entire thing.
Please.
So I'm a little confused here, so if you could just give me a little bit of time to readjust here. So I
Okay.
actually had some of the articles that you wrote, and I was told by another person that the last one that you wrote was actually a piece about Zynga. Like it was a separate piece from your AMA. It was a new piece that you had wrote, and that's when you got shadow banned.
No,
Can you? Oh,
no,
do you know what your
actually,
last one was?
I'll explain what my last one was and that Zynga article. My last one was basically an article, very simple one, on how to turn Google Translate into a voice actor slash actress with internationalization capability. So
I,
you could,
I do have one question about that one, if you don't mind.
yeah, go ahead, dude.
So you actually showed me that one, and I thought it was pretty interesting. But I was looking at what you typed out in the thing, and it was something about Zynga's stocks crashing. Like, if
Zynga
you look that
investors
up,
beware on the image.
yes.
Yeah, that was a joke. Yeah, it's just saying ZEENGA investors beware. Yeah, it was just like one thing I typed in there.
If I may, what it seems to be some of the confusion is that when we talk on things like IRC or on Twitter or on comments, oftentimes the intent is lost on the reader, whether or not it was a joke or not, because it's hard to gauge tone from this. And from what I can gather from you, RogueStar, you're just like us. You like to joke around and maybe poke the bourgeois a little bit, and you do care about this. Although it doesn't mean that everything that you say needs to be taken as gospel, you too are allowed to joke around and make
Well,
jokes.
yeah,
Is that kind of?
I joke around and I piss off a lot of people. That's their problem if they want to get offended. But no one has to listen to me. But at the same time, me getting removed from Gama Sutra, I'm like 3 years of my articles. I'm like, wow, I did it for free, all right?
Yeah.
I am not Leigh Alexander's jilted lover or whatever like that, but
All right.
it's a lot of things where I got into GamerGate because I've experienced how these game journal pros, I would call them, these game bloggers, will just take anything you write and turn it into a fucking flame war. I had that
Absolutely.
happen to
Yeah.
my AMA, where I was like, ask me anything. I used to work for Zynga. This is my candid opinion. I never
And the heart
released.
of GamerGate is about journalistic integrity and about these blogs spinning a narrative that may not be true. So this absolutely ties into it.
Yeah, it ties into it because I've experienced how these people operate, where they take something and amplify it so that it fits their narrative or whatever. And what happened to me was basically I experienced how they work. I've been essentially isolated out of Gama Sutra. Fuck them, but it really pissed me off. And if people think I have a vendetta, yes, I agree. I have a vendetta in trying to clean up this goddamn industry. Now that here's GamerGate. Here's my opportunity to share all my experience. Here's an opportunity to, I'm going to teach people where and when to hit. I have some insider info that may be of help, may be of use. It's not just me. I'm not the only game dev involved in this. There's plenty of other game devs. Now, some of them may be a little bit more reluctant to help GamerGate, but that's fine. It's people like me who will volunteer their knowledge and efforts and help take down these corrupt journalists.
Squaff, does that answer your question? I mean, I think you presented as, do you have a vendetta? And RogueStar's like, hell yeah, I got a vendetta. Let's take these guys down.
Hey, honesty is great. If that, yeah, I think that's great. If you're going to be
Perfect.
honest. So, I'm situating my notes a little bit here because I want to move on to the burgers and fries topic again. I think there was a part where you were being serious because there's no jokes in it, and I feel like after what happened with Vox Populi, it's a good idea to talk about it.
Okay.
You said in the burgers and fries, what IRC, that going for the advertisers thing, I don't know if it'll work. And then when I searched on Twitter to see if you were supporting the contacting of advertisers before October the 5th, which is when you started Vox Populi, I didn't get any search results that showed that you were actually soliciting the going after advertisers. I did see one where you said, and let me get it up so I'm quoting properly.
Yeah.
The enemy burns something worse than traffic and advertisers. The enemy bleeds social capital. They will never earn it back. And that's the only thing I was able to find. So it feels like because you waited until after October 1st, which is when Intel was pulled from Gamma Sutra, that it feels like you're still going with your vendetta, and it doesn't feel very unified. Not only that, but Vox Populi has kind of separated some people who no longer want to be a part of the movement. And I was just
can you focus your question, please, because you're going all over the place.
Okay. My question is, knowing that it moved some people away and that you weren't advertising until October the 5th, why didn't you advertise this sooner? Like, why didn't you go with the advertisers when Jade was doing it?
Because I didn't know it was going to work. So, to get back to your core context, yes, I did say that on the IRC about 4 weeks ago, I believe. I would say 6 weeks ago. It's been so long, dude. I don't know if the advertising thing will work. That's true. At that point in time, I didn't think that people would be effective. People would be unified in the boycotts of the day, simply because I know that some of these advertisers, from when GamerGate started, at that time, we were literally marked as a very black topic. You know, the disinfo against GamerGate at that time, 6 weeks ago, was deep, straight up deep, and to, you know, for me at that time, I didn't think anything on these advertising things, I didn't think that would work. So when it did work, hey, that worked. That strategy is something that we can pin on. I decided, hey, how are we going to tweak this part of Operation Disrespectful Nod? A couple of advertisers bailed out before that, like Scott Trade and Unilever, I believe. But Intel bailing out of Gamma Sutra, whoa, that's pretty big. That's a big win for us.
So you could say that the when Intel pulled out, it inspired you to do Operation Vox Populi?
Yes. Okay. Operation Vox Populi, I started thinking about everything, you know, with the emailing campaign a little bit more seriously. I started toggling my, you know, my connections to the advertising world, did a little bit of freaking research, and, you know, when it came down to it, how do we tweak our email campaign, because that's working. I didn't want to disrupt that at all. So Operation Vox Populi, that, you know, tweaks to the email, add a little bit to it longer. Some people were doing emails every day and they were getting tired and pissed off. You know, just, you know, some suggestions from me. That's it. In terms of, you know, whether or not I knew, you know, because I'm fielding all your stuff here, Squaff, you know, based on, you know, my extensive shit posting on the IRC channel. Keep in mind the Burgers and Fries IRC, all of that, everything I typed there, consider it a shit post. Consider it bullshit for me. I don't care. But the serious work I did in IRC, it involved a lot of investigations with private channels we made. And yes, I was active in IRC with private channels. So you can ask some IRC randoms on that one. They probably know me. They probably don't. They'll probably tell you to fuck off. But yeah, let's see. Like, did I know everything about Operation Vox Populi 6 weeks ago? No. No, that's ridiculous. Everything in Operation Vox Populi started with, you know, me not knowing about advertising is going to work. Intel pulls out. That's a big win. Oh, that works. I have to shift my strategy. How do I help this? So that's how I decided to help it, just by tweaking an already existing campaign.
I feel it's a fair answer. Squaff, does that answer your concerns?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome.
So, if you don't mind, I would like to move on to the PDF file.
Which PDF?
That would be this one right here, and I've linked it to the chat as soon as it shows up.
Web archive. Well,
no, not that stuff. I linked that earlier. For some reason, okay, so it's the GamerGate.rogue-star-industries.com. That one.
You mean this one? I
Yes.
just put it in chat.
Yes, that
Okay,
one.
my site. Okay, first off, that's not a PDF file. That's actually a
Okay.
Google Doc.
Okay.
This is hosted on Google.
Okay. I'll change that. My apologies.
Okay.
So on your Google Doc file found on your Twitter, it includes the hashtag GamerGate at the top, which I am being told is the hashtag for a consumer revolt. Like a lot of people have told me that. Is
Mm-hmm.
that information wrong?
What do you mean?
Well, is it a consumer revolt? Is it a revolt by the consumers?
Uh, let's see. Part of GamerGate is a consumer revolt. The other one is, from my small part of it, it's game developers who are now supporting this consumer revolt.
Okay, so you would say, and a game developer.
No, no, not and a game developer. I'm saying game developers who are also supporting this consumer revolt. There's Daniel Vavra. He's come out in support of us. There's David Jaffe. He says, yes, there's a lot of harassment happening. Yes, I support this in games. He's been very vocal about how SJWs are trying to paint him into a corner with this, soggy knees arguments for everything. David Jaffe has experience on that. But yes, I would say game developers and gaming enthusiasts, part of a revolt against game journalism that's corrupt.
And would you say that a person like Daniel Valvera could assemble what you've done with Vox Populi against people in the same gaming industry, such as gaming journalist sites?
As an individual, if Daniel Vavra wants to do that, as in assemble them and organize them, that's him as an individual. Yes, I mean, why would I stop him? That's his First Amendment. Well, if Daniel Vavra was American and he wanted to compose a Google document providing information on how to assemble and organize your campaign that's already existing, other sources of information for the movement, if he wants to type that up as an individual and being a game developer, hell yeah, let him do it. I'm not saying
Okay.
he does. I mean, I'm doing that. I am a games programmer. I am in this industry. I've had bad dealings with certain people. I want to see change. I'm seeing a lot of gamers who are now part of the corruption that I've been seeing since 2009. And I want to organize them too. So, if I see where you're leading to this. So I'd like to, for you to lead up to that question because it's been brought to me before.
Well, what question would that be?
Well, it's been brought to me with some concerns from other game developers. I will not name them because I don't want to pretend to speak for them and I don't want people to harass them, so I'm not going to name them. But they are game developers who have approached me about legal concerns, about using corporate on corporate boycotts. I've read this FTC law on this. It's basically antitrust law where, let's say, Corporation X partakes in a boycott of another corporation. To them, I believe the federal government believes this is anti-competitive and falls under antitrust law. But I'm not an expert in law, by the way. I've read the cliff notes on that, and not even. But to get the gist of this, that concern, I've covered my tracks, and I'm completely clean on it. I'm not doing this as a corporation staging a boycott against multiple other corporations. I'm doing this as an individual. Yes, I'm a game developer. I admit that. That's open. That's public knowledge. Even my name is public knowledge on this. I've had vendettas in the past. I have a clear case that and motivation to go against these people. And no, I'm not doing it as a corporation. I'm doing this as an individual.
Because the name RogueStar was tied to your LLC, I see why it could be perceived that way, that you are operating
Yes.
under the guise of a business.
Yes, I believe. Yeah, I mean my Twitter account, it's RogueStar Games with a Z on it, and I've even stated on that Twitter this account mixes professional and personal. As for the official Twitter account for my company that deals with RogueStar Games, You know, it's even in there. I have RogueStar LLC, and that
Well,
belongs to my partners, not just me. So
so if we go farther into the Google document, though,
yeah.
it also includes a request to follow RogueStar Games with an S, which is a limited liability company owned by yourself, and it links
Oh,
back to your Twitter.
that's an S. Yeah, that should
Yes,
be a Z. Sorry, editing that now. Thank you.
no problem. I mean, as long as it's covered.
Yeah.
So there was also a problem with all the shill accusations that I saw popping up. I
Sorry,
noticed that.
before we get into that, Squaff, and we definitely will get into that. Yeah, it seems like one of the things that people thought the legal liability was because it had the S and not the Z, but that was just, you're saying, Rogue, that was just a honest oversight, just a mistake, and it was just a
And I
misunderstanding.
cover this in the document as well. This is a living document. More stuff will be added later. Tweet all requests, edits, new operations, new battle data, new information to RogueStar Games at Twitter. So it's not meant to be like some straight up hard and
So it was
stone.
just an honest oversight that you had the wrong Twitter link.
Yeah, and
Okay.
to address again, there were some people who were concerned that I used my actual avatar on this document, so I changed it to Vivian James. Some people were a little bit offended that I was sort of, putting my avatar on this, and I realized, oh yeah, some people were turned off by that, so I put Vivian James as, chief of the president of the Central Operations Archive. Yeah, there.
A lot of people were concerned because they feel like if anyone tries to co-opt the GamerGate tag to make them some sort of leader or figurehead, that is someone that can be attacked and beheaded. And that was one of the problems with WikiLeaks, is that they gave Julian Assange the head, and then he was attacked, and it really put a damper into
Yeah,
WikiLeaks.
I agree with
and
that one.
that was just the concern. It wasn't that they were accusing or anything, but I think it is a legitimate concern.
Yeah, and I understand that concern. I've taken edits on that. I've also, now I do believe it's a hardline stance for GamerGate. We cannot have the presupposition of leadership or councils. We are a very chaotic force. We exist in terms of, I would say, respect and also merit that, a lot of people in GamerGate are competing for now. There's a lot of investigators out there breaking stories and sharing information and investigating this corrupt gaming rig. But yeah, I agree. No leaders, no councils. Stay
So
chaotic.
for those that were criticizing, I think now that you've explained your intent, they may understand more fully. You are not trying to do this acting under the LLC. You're acting as an individual. Although the names are similar, they are different, and you do not want to be any sort of figurehead. Rather, you want to disseminate information. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not being like a figurehead in terms of a leader or a council. I'm trying to lead you people. No, no, no. I'm just, if GamerGate was an MMO, I'm just an NPC. I'm the guy that gives out missions and gives you cheesecake rewards. That's what RogueStar is. I'm an NPC. You guys are the players.
That sounds fair.
Yeah.
I like that explanation a lot more. But we do have a problem that I feel is important when you're calling a lot of people shills when all they are is concerned. And that doesn't make them concerned trolls. They are concerned because a lot of them see a legal problem. A lot of people see an unethical problem. And I would just like to cover some of the times that you either favorited and retweeted somebody being called a shill, or when you've called people a shill, and then maybe you can say why you did it and
Sure.
explain how these people are shills.
Squaff, were you called a shill by RogueStar?
I was not called a shill directly by him, but I was told by another person that we both know, so I'm not going to name him, that you called me a shill to them, and you called my entire chat a shill, including Mundane Matt. But that's not the stuff on Twitter.
Could you confirm or deny that? Because it is rumor right now. Rogue, I would just like to hear your point of view on that.
Okay. That's rumor as well. Keep in mind, we started off on discussion with an intent of distrust. The reason I broke off contact with that chat, with your Skype chat, is because certain private, serving very private, very candid information, very sensitive to some of my investigations. That if you remember correctly, I warned you people about certain things to stay away from because they're very hot right now, and those details were leaked out into public chat.
Right. Sorry, RogueStar, could you answer the question though? Did you say those things about Mundane Matt and about
They're shills?
Squaff?
No.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
I've never said that directly, and if you find any Twitter feed, blah, 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 or Facebook post where I say that, I apologize. That's not my intent. You guys are not shills. What I'm saying, though, is a lot of, and I hate to say this, but a lot of misplaced zeal and a lot of jumping the gun and a lot of eating a lot of shill bait and a lot of disinfo, it's coming from some members of your chat, dude. It's
that's speculation now, but let's we'll allow Squaff, sorry, to finish the question. I apologize for interrupting you, Squaff. Please finish.
Okay,
go ahead and finish, dude.
So I don't know about any of that private stuff that you were talking about. Maybe we can talk about it later and see what was leaked, and then I can talk to them and see who did it. But about the shill accusations, the first one comes from Max Shilling for You, of all names, and you favorited what he had to say and you retweeted it.
What was it?
He was calling a guy named See-Through Review a shill because he said that what you were doing was not professional. He said you weren't acting professional.
Excellent. Hold on. I believe I have a Ralph report on See-Through Review. Sorry, just trying.
No worries. In the meantime, Squaff, could you tell me about the review, the gentleman in question?
Oh, See-Through Review? I don't know him personally. I've talked to him once on Twitter, and he was upset that people were acting unethical about this situation, that game developers were now going against game industries, and he did not feel that was right, so he voiced his opinion.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the Ralph report on. Here we go. So I'm gonna post this on your Skype.
Yep, I'll make sure everything is linked into a master document.
Yeah, and let's see. PR agency poses as GamerGate. So Max Shilling for You. He's a very talented investigator. Let's see. I retweeted his thing, and he was saying something about, there it is, See-Through Review, and saying, here's what See-Through Review said directly. We know Rogue was kicked at Gamasutra, which I'm like, okay, I'm only a blogger at Gamasutra, and they shadow banned my blog without telling me what the core reason was. Okay. We know his school. I'm like, what? Everybody knows where I went to school. Both targets in his op, convenient. So I don't know
how you could construe that as a personal attack.
Yeah, it's, we know his school. I'm like, dude, you can only ask me. I haven't asked me anything. I'm trying to be like one of the most open guys in this movement where if you ask me my stance, if you ask me my story, I've done interviews with Milo, with APG, with even the Escapist. I've disposed my story on this, and I'm trying to be open as possible and sharing everything I know, and you can criticize it all you want. But what's been happening with me is these goddamn shills, this See-Through Review guy, he's coming across to me, all heated, saying both targets of his op. It's like, is it my op? No, I just started it. People.
Well, then that makes it your op. I think that's reasonable to say it is your op, but I can also see why you would call him a shill if he's attacking you.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they're attacking me directly on this one, where I'm simply providing strategy. What people have to understand is GamerGate is not some movement where people, who are supportive of the core cause, are automatically under my control or whatever. I started on GamerGate, banned from the IRC with 0 followers. That was about 5 weeks ago. I have 1,800 followers now, and it's got nothing to do with me being a charming personality or whatever. I've done nothing here but speak my mind, and people follow. And you know, when people try to paint me into this personal corner where it's now about Rogue and his vendetta and his school, I'm like, what? Where are these people coming from? You know, it's convenient when I'm trying to be open about my information, yet people will try to argue for it, you know, in public, trying to smear my name on Twitter. You know, I'm right here, dude. Ask me anything. You know, it's like they're going sideways on their questions and trying to cause a lot of, you know, this see-through review guy, he was picking a lot of fights. You know, I'm not going to answer to that. It's like it
Can I
might.
get your response to that? Do you understand Rogue's point of view? Is he felt attacked and that's why he called him shill?
Yeah.
Well, I would like it if he defined the word shill for me, because I've never heard it before, and
Shill
I'd like to
is
hear your
all right.
explanation.
Shill is basically someone who's trying to disrupt the movement in terms of trying to cause a lot of disinformation, trying to basically drive and control the signal. People who are trying to paint individuals as targets. That's the other one. When they pick a target, when they personalize it, when they try to polarize somebody, that is, you know, the definition for me of shill. And usually these guys, you know, it's been investigated and it's proven these guys will work with Twitter bots. These guys will work with Skype API abuse. There's obvious PR elements now that, you know, it's popping up all over the feed. You know, like there's that GameGate news, which was a freaking honeypot. I'm like, come on.
Is it possible that he may have not have been a shill and you said it more out of anger than an actual fact?
That's true. He may or may not be an actual shill, but just by his behavior, where, you know, putting an attack on me when he could say, "Hey, Rogue, I got some questions for you, and there are some ethical concerns." You know, if they
So
framed it that way,
yeah.
and I have some ethical concerns. I would like to ask you some questions. Open it neutrally, calmly, because this is Twitter, man. Everything can get taken out of context. You know, to aim it back at you, SecretSquaff, you called me an asshole over a mistype when, you know, Eric Kane was looking for guests. I was like,
And I meant that.
yeah. Say what again? I'm sorry.
Well, I meant that. I mean, when you call yourself the only visible dev,
Yeah,
you can't.
and that is a mistype. What I wanted to type was, I'm one of the, you know, visible devs, and, you know, that didn't go through for some reason. So I was like, oh, and all of a sudden you called me an asshole. But, you know, we've squashed that beef. Don't worry about that.
I mean, Rogue, really, like, I could see why, though. If someone said that, that's kind of an asshole thing to say. You know,
Yeah.
I say tons of asshole shit, and people call me out for being an asshole.
And the point
it
is,
was
Twitter is bad for that. It's really, you can mistype something, all of a sudden it'll blow up, and you know, that's why when I type on Twitter, hey, do a twit longer, ask me on email, ask me calmly. You know, I would admit some of my tweets, they're very aggressive. Hell yeah. When it's aimed at the enemy, hell yeah.
Yeah, and because your tone is militaristic in your style, because you know you have that
Absolutely. People
background,
are concerned
and
about that, and I know Squaw's concerned about the militaristic tone too, and it turns off some people. Hey, it's just my style, dude.
yeah, absolutely. You don't have to apologize for that.
Yeah.
But can we say that maybe when you called the reviewer a shill, it wasn't necessarily that you were implying that he's being paid off or that he's part of some secret cabal.
Yeah, shill is
Shill bait and repeating the same bullshit narrative.
Yeah, shill is basically, hey, I see your tactics here. You're personalizing me, you're polarizing me, you're painting me into some corner and attacking me directly, when you could just ask questions and get answers calmly. You know, so I call him a shill. There you go.
Well,
Okay.
I think that's respectable, but I'm still a little confused about the shill thing. Do you mind if I pose you a little bit of my history with the movement to see if I fit into this category?
Yeah, sure, dude.
So early on, I had gotten some information about Zoe Quinn, and I brought it straight to her, and I presented it to her without being kind about it. I was very aggressive. I showed her the information and how it related to her and Nathan Grayson being at GamerX together, and how that would be seen as unethical. And couldn't she just call me a shill at that point too?
I don't know. I don't know what Zoe Quinn would think, dude. I don't want to know. I'm sorry I said Zoe Quinn. Literally who? I don't know what literally who will think.
All right, that's a respectable answer. That's fine with me. Now there are some other people that you called chill. If you don't mind, if I read through those tweets a little bit, and maybe you can say why they're shills, because I don't think it's always the same. Maybe,
Okay.
and I just want to get this, I just want to get all of this done so we can move on to more important things. Because,
Sure.
like,
Keep in mind, there's a lot of tweets out there. I don't know all of them. I mean, all right. You know, I've called people shill, asshole, motherfucker, terrorist, coward, slut, whore, idiot. Yeah, I use the idiot word a lot. Moron. I've called people moron.
Oh, I'm not tone policing. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, yeah. What else?
I'm pretty sure I got all you guys beat for saying horrible shit on Twitter.
Well, there you go. Just wait till you dig up my past and EVE Online and Final Fantasy XI. Kind of shit I say there.
I think it's fair to be
blush.
to want to or to treat Twitter with a little bit of I guess lack of I don't know how to put this. It's okay to just talk shit on Twitter. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people are concerned that I'm becoming, well, not just me. A lot of people are becoming more public figures about GamerGate, and we should watch our tone because we're being, watched by Black PR, and they're, right now I can count like 50 bots that, those quotes and facts Twitter accounts, that just randomly follow you.
Yeah.
I got so many of those on me now. I'm like, okay, I'm being quote mined. Lovely.
See why you're being held to a different standard though, because you are so visible now, and you were a leader of an operation.
Yeah, that's the point.
Now your tweets will be held to a higher standard. So do you
and
feel
that's
like
the point I'm trying to get across. I'm not the PR front of GamerGate at all. I'm not the reasonable front. I'm the tactical and crazy and fringe and pissed off. I'm the vendetta front. I'm everything that is anti-GamerGate. I'm on the war against these kinds of irreasonable people, and some of my tactics are chaotic. Some of the shit I say is chaotic. Hell, you dig up the entire IRC from Burgers and Fries, you'll know why I'm banned. Yeah, I'm not trying to put on a front where I am, reasonable or the PR or I'm trying to be leader of GamerGate. Hell no. Hell no. But, I'll admit that I am more public, more visible than others. That's a given. But
whether or not you want that or whether or not you feel that way, other people will feel that about you because you are very vocal and you are very visible.
And I understand that completely. And I don't want to.
It's what others may put on to you.
Yeah, I don't want to, sound like I'm trying to whore or shill myself and put me on a pedestal. I will never be on a stream by my own channel or anything like that. I like to make games for a living. I'm in this movement as an individual. People listen to my crazy ideas. And they like it. It's tomorrow. I mean, just level with you, SecretSquaff. I mean, I started out this movement, banned from the IRC. Mundane Matt hating on me and calling me an idiot on his analysis of Zoe Po that literally whose IRC logs.
Is that confirmed or was that rumor?
What do you mean?
That he called you an idiot.
There's one video where Mundane Matt pretty much was not friendly with my shit posting on IRC. I started at this movement at the bottom, and now people are paying more attention to me. I mean, is that me? I don't know. I'm not trying to fucking do a PR campaign. That's not my thing, dude. So
well, whether or not that was your intent, that's the way that it came off, and a lot of people perceived it. And because you do have a large following now, and that you do have a lot of people that act on your behalf, what you say will be taken seriously. Squaff was attacked, correct, by your followers.
That's the other thing that is concern for me for like, I didn't even want to do this stream, Squaff. Seriously, basically because if I did this stream and we got into heated arguments, or you say something that some of my zealous followers, I would call them, didn't like, they're gonna gank on you on Twitter, and that
But you
sucks.
you understand that the onus is on you to kind of rein those people in. I know that you aren't responsible for their actions, but if you know that they're going to take your thing seriously, it may be best to preface it to say this is not a call to action. Please do not act on it. The same way
Yeah.
that we don't want Rafflecasters, we don't want GamerGaters harassing people in the industry, even though we may be very, very upset. We do have to preface it to say, like Sargon of Akkad, do not contact Tigra, do not contact these people. I am
Oh
not
yeah.
eliciting a witch hunt.
Yeah, I've proceeded with caution on serious matters. The Operation Digging Digra thing. It's like follow Sargon of Akkad's advice. Do that.
Right.
What else?
You may need to push that harder though, because if Squaff is getting attacked unfairly by your audience, once again, not your fault, but you may need to preface it a little bit more so to make sure the audience does listen to you, because they will listen to you if you do tell them that.
Yeah.
May I speak just a little bit
Please.
about that specific thing? Rogue, don't worry about that, man. It's not your fault if people come after me after they've seen, like, we've had a debate. I've been on the internet for years now, and I am used to that. So it is completely fine. The only time that I get offended by something you have something to do with is when you've actually had something to do with it, not vicariously through other people. I don't care about that. And as far as I'm concerned, you and me are just fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And my concern in this one is we need to stop the infighting in Gamergate. There's cliques building up. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of arguments, and there's a lot of over-policing of people's tone. People have been trying to, tell me, hey, cut off on the military, and don't say that, or dude, don't do this. I'm like, don't police
Censorship is
what I
not the right
say.
way to act. I mean, let me say this to the audience now. Don't try to tell people what to do or what not to do. You can lead by example. You can express if you don't like it. But when you tell people that we can't say or do certain things, that is what we're fighting against.
Yeah, exactly. It's don't cram people's style. The only thing you got to call out is personal attacks. I've been personally attacked on Twitter where all of a sudden, hey, you're the problem. You're unethical. Whoa, 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 whoa. Take a longer tweet, address your concern, and say, hey, Rogue, can you read this up? Or hey, X, can you read this up? It's getting silly where we end up calling each other shill because you're doing personal attacks. You're basically, some of this is a lot of people will really amplify something that doesn't need to get amplified too much. It can be said calmly. It can be done through email. And we got to stop the infighting. So. As for people concerned with the word shill getting thrown around, shill is as good as a word as asshole. There.
All right, so I think that was a great explanation, and a lot of the other questions I was going to be asking about shill, I went ahead and dropped because you've already answered it, and I think you did like a really good job of doing so. Now there are two more that I would like to cover before we move on, though. This guy named IPV23 tweeted at you. For your information, it doesn't really help your credibility when you call everyone who disagrees a shill. And you retweeted with, disagreement is not equal to grade school level language, and I was wondering what that means, because I haven't been able to figure it out yet.
Yeah, let's see. Just bear in mind, my Twitter notifications just blow up sometimes, and so here's my modus operandi in general. When people bring me into a corner and say, hey, Rogue, you are X. That's unethical. You're lying. You're an asshole. Fuck you. You're bad for the movement. When people are policing me and questioning my ethics and backing me into a corner, That's when I go, fuck you, shill. Get off my fucking case. You're personalizing me. You're using language I don't appreciate. Fuck you. That's going to be my default reaction, straight up. You know?
Just so we can get some perspective for the listeners, about how many tweets do you send out a day?
I don't know.
It's probably upwards of 50, correct?
Let's see. There's
Some days, at least.
10.4K tweets. I've been active in Twitter since the GamerGate hashtag was born. When was that? I don't even know.
So you're well over 100 tweets a day then.
Okay. But
Well, I mean,
it doesn't include my notifications.
Right, so not only are you tweeting a lot, but you're also getting a ton of people tweeting back at you, so the amount of information that you have to sort through on a daily basis is probably within the hundreds and maybe even thousands of tweets. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I try to look for neutral language.
And on top of that, you also have to deal with bots.
Say what?
And on top of that, you're also dealing with bots, and you're also dealing with people co-opting the hashtag and spreading misinformation.
And also dealing with people who contribute, like, hey, Rogue, I'm on your follower list, but you don't follow me because I can't follow everybody. Duh. It's just too much information. I try to filter it and try to find critical information the movement might need. I pay attention to that.
Is it reasonable to say that if you're putting out 100 of anything a day, that some of them are going to be dumb, or some of them are going to be shitty, or some of them are going to be not very well thought out?
I put cheesecake. Like, half of my tweets are fucking cheesecake, all right? I mean, that's a given.
I'm on a diet, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Personally,
cheesecake
I prefer
everywhere.
Croissants, cheesecakes. I mean, I started Operation Patriarchy, and it got shut down, and I'm really upset by that. We're going to have another big operation coming soon with Review Labs. And, yeah, we're going to send something to, Vox and Gawker, and it's going to be in the mail. It's going to be fun. Stay tuned for that. But anyway, I deal with a lot of
I hope you mean
tweets.
cheesecake.
Yeah. No, it's not going to be as expensive cheesecake. No. Cheesecake's our thing, dude. That's for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We can send each other cheesecake.
So there's just one more, and I want to clear it up between us, because if somebody like literally who got a hold of this, or Devin Frosty, it would be a lot worse. And I'd rather you had the chance to actually explain what you meant when you made this tweet. So that's why I'm bringing it up. It has you didn't call this person a shill, but I think other people might use this against us if they saw it and you didn't have a chance to explain.
Okay.
So you said today, early this morning, to Chris D. Fisher, please give him some talk. And you link somebody else with a really horrible Twitter handle that I can't read. And then you said moderation, etc. And he replied with, I don't consider myself a leader, as in he's talking about you, and then says directs people to police me. How do you feel about how that went down? And do you really feel like you were trying to police him?
I don't know about Chris's freaking stuff. I got practically freaking annoyed because I'm just done dealing with people trying to police everything I do. If they got edits or concerns, do a tweet longer, email me, do my Ask FM. If you're gonna engage me on the hashtag itself, and you're gonna try to be snarky, I'm just gonna, what? Fuck you, shill. Here, deal with my members now. They'll back me up because I'm tired. Basically, it's my version of I'm tired of dealing with you. You're coming across wrong. It's starting to irritate me. I got other shit to do. I got other pieces of information. I don't have to babysit your goddamn privilege. I don't have to, this Chris DeFisher guy. It's like, hey, I'm not. You're not my dad. Fuck you. That's my thing on that one. It's like, start talking to moderates. If you expect moderation from me, if you expect a calm tone, if you expect a voice of reason from me, you're wrong already. You don't expect that from RogueStar, right? I'm one little tiny fringe, crazy fucking voice in this movement, and I'm doing it to piss off anti-GamerGate and throw wrenches against their fucking bot army and all their fucking actual shells, and confuse them, and confuse them, make them react in ways that are fun and lulzy, and hey, screenshot that shit.
So it's fair to say that if you want people to engage with you, you'd want it to be in a civil manner. If you feel like they're coming at you aggressively, you will respond in turn with aggressiveness.
Yes, if they aggro me, I'll aggro them.
And your preferred method of communication is your Ask FM or Twitlonger, so they can explain themselves, correct?
Yeah. It's just, hey, RogueStar, can you please read? It doesn't have to. I've been guilty of engaging in some of these fucking fights where it's like, hey, you can't say that. It's like, god damn you fucking image crafters. It's, I'm not on the PR front. Straight up, that's you guys' job. You do PR. I don't care.
Because you were the one that was co-opting, starting the operations. I think it's natural for people to feel like you were some sort of leader, whether or not you wanted to be one or not. They would look to you as someone who started the hashtag.
Yeah, I just started a hashtag. Was supposed to just last one day, and there are some people who want to keep continuing that. I'm like, well, okay.
Has this given you perspective on how you will engage with people, knowing with Squaff being able to break it down point by point and kind of explain it? Because I think Squaff, you've done an absolutely outstandingly excellent job of kind of.
Yeah, I appreciate this talk, Squaff. There's no more beef.
It's mostly just miscommunication.
Yeah,
or rather, it's a difficulty of understanding tone on the internet.
Yeah, exactly, and I appreciate this talk too. But I'm setting the record straight on me. Don't expect PR, clean hands, clean language, moderate voice. Go to Low Ping and freaking Total Biscuit for that stuff. I mean, we got enough of those people.
Your intent here is more to burn down the regime than it is to be a role model.
I am not a role model. I am a weaponized minority. I will weaponize the ball.
All right.
I will weaponize your emails. I will turn you into a neutron bomb, and we're gonna crush and destroy this freaking cabal so that they will know. Here, I'm invested in this movement personally because I don't want to enter the games industry having to deal with these fucking cunts anymore. I want to deal a fatal blow to them so that they can no longer possibly freaking operate. They have been operating for the past 5 years. I want to crush that.
Do you feel like you understand RogueStar more, that you've gotten some perspective about where he's coming from when he posts things like that you may deem as confusing or inflammatory?
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. I mean, I'm not a PR person either. I typically call people assholes and idiots and stuff like that. So when you bring shill and I tried to get the definition from somebody else, and they said it was a gambling thing where you're trying to get money off of something, and it didn't really fit because I knew one of the people who was called shills, and he's got something else he's doing. But you covered all that splendidly. I got everything that I wanted answered, and that I think the people who were trying to talk to you before but were doing so aggressively, I think they got a better understanding of what you actually meant.
Yeah. And also some of the people that you do respond to, I don't feel we're being aggressive, but I could see why you would take it that way because of what you're going through.
Here's another thing about... Oh, God. Someone's already, posting on 8chan. RogueStar, I'm going to read for verbatim here. He's just one GamerGate, and they try to put responsibility on. This is not how he works, blah, blah, blah. Ignore this. What else? RogueStar, what the fuck are you doing? Stop making operations. You literally just said you were going to send a package of something to Vox and Gawker in the mail. Do you know how retarded this is? Stay tuned to Review Labs when we stream sometime, and you'll get what this package is. I'm like, it's already been taken out of context.
But remember, when you're acting on this, you're also acting on behalf of a very, very large segment of gamers. If you send something to Vox with the hashtag GamerGate, you're speaking for all of us.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's taken out of context already. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, it
Right,
hasn't
but
even
you
happened
can see
yet.
how that might worry somebody in GamerGate if they're like, well, he's sending a mysterious package with all of our names on it. We don't know what it is. It could be
Well,
human
yeah,
shit. It
people
could
are
be a bomb.
assuming what's in the
Anthrax.
package already, you know? You know, people are assuming that we're going to put the Gamergate hashtag on it. I didn't say anything like that. I just said, yeah, we're going to prank Vox Media. I
Okay.
mean, we're not going to send them syringes, all right? That's
All right.
fucking
Is it fair
wrong.
to say that using the Gamergate tag for some of the stuff that people find inflammatory is incorrect, and maybe you should use just maybe Operation Vox Populi and not
Uh,
Gamergate?
Now, to be fair on this one, I am part of the movement. If you don't agree with whatever I say, whatever I do, block me, mute me, don't listen to me, don't buy my game. I don't care. You know, if I find it useful to Gamergate, I'm gonna put it on the hashtag, straight up.
Okay.
Yeah. Right
Well,
now,
I would like to cover that more when we get to the end. You know, that way we get everything settled. Like, because that's the biggest issue, and I think we should wait until the end to actually discuss that, if that's okay.
I'm ready for it now. Is there any other questions you have or anything you want to say, Ro, before we get there?
Well,
uh,
actually, like,
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I'm just
I've
here
got
to, get questions from you, man, because I got a bird's eye view on stuff. I don't have questions for you. So,
Squaff, please continue.
Okay, so you brought up earlier that you were part of the IRC chat, and we talked about it, and it was just shit posting, and I understand that. But when I got the IRC logs, it didn't include the ending, and you said you got like banned at some point. Could you explain why? Because I just don't know. Like, it wasn't included, and I feel like I was cut out of like an important part of what was going on in that
all
chat.
right, what happened was this. So, people were upset that, oh my God, RogueStar, all your shit posts are fucking broadcast by Zoe Quinn, or literally who, and I was like really pissed off at that, and people were pissed off at me for, hey, you shit posted. I'm like, fuck you, all you people were shit posting on that IRC. That's how I felt about that. But one day, Matthew Wagner, one of the IGF, I believe his software is running the IGF jury tool, and I also suspect his software is running the Indicate jury tool. He's one of the points of investigation for the Polytron, Fez, Indicate, IGF contention. He's one of the investors in Fez. Nobody knows about it. He's also an Indicate. I believe he's an Indicate, or not an Indicate. I believe he's an Indie Fund core investor. Let's see. Matthew Wagner stopped by in the chat, and then I was banned. Just straight up banned all over the place. I don't know why. That fucking sucked. I'm like, really? You're gonna fucking ban me? Fuck you people. So yeah, that's what happened.
Thank you for the explanation. Like, I really feel, I feel like I'm missing something when I don't get that kind of stuff, and I'm happy you were honest about it. Now, I don't know who it is, but somebody sent me an image on Skype, and if you don't mind, I'll copy and paste it since I can't seem to paste it into the chat. Achilles, do you mind if I paste it to you, and then we can...
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So here's the image.
Here's the thing. I don't want to get policed anymore. I don't want to have to deal with these fucking questions out in public, because it's starting to turn more into about, let's go in, do this inquisition on fucking RogueStar. I don't want to have to explain myself in the future anymore. What I do is, as an individual, if you feel that it's bad for the movement, just block me and don't pay attention to the things I do.
Honestly, Rogue, I agree with you a lot, and that's why I want to make sure we get all of this out right now. So even if somebody is like, what about this, Rogue? You can look back at this fucking live stream, man. I covered this already. Stop being a jackass.
And it will be released as a podcast, and we'll have transcripts.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, so I have the picture up, and I actually have a version that the Conspiracy actually posted on Twitter now. I'll send that to you as well, Achilles.
Yeah.
Do I have to go to the Conspiracy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like, it's the most full version of it, with like a part of it explaining it. So the Conspiracy wrote, because this is about integrity, not revenge, not harassment, not hurting people, and then there is a log of some kind, and I don't know where it comes from. But there's you in it, and RogueStar, you say, I don't want to argue with you, Annan. I'm just fighting on my side as a war. You're replied to by a man who I won't name because he's not important, or as far as I know. And he says, but you're not getting it. RogueStar then replies, it's no longer counterintelligence for me, because other people can't see this. That's why I'm reading it.
Yeah.
And so another Annan says SJWs and feminists are, but a lot of them just support them because they bought the misogyny bullshit. Another Annan says, well, enjoy, but I'm just soliciting for advice on the matter. Bub posts some image, and obviously I can't click on it, and then saying people spamming this. The other guy then replies again, Rogue, okay, I'm going to put this way then. And then Bub says, and because, you know, it's just Bub, I don't, about Camera Lady. And then you say, my side of the things are looking for full fucking nuclear option.
Yeah.
Camera Lady leaves, the other guy says, in our studying about them, we ended up finding out more evidence, which brought you in. Which brought out more evidence. And RogueStar, you said, ending careers and marriages, federal time for racketeering, smearing their careers forever.
Yeah, and I believe after that post, I was like, smearing their careers forever. And I was like, to Glorious Jihad, our fellow fucking IRC channel, Allah Akbar. You know,
okay, so it was clearly a joke.
Can we get the full...
Yeah, when I was going on that rant, yes, I was going on a fucking shit post on, yeah, you know, here's what we want to fucking do. You know, this is all out fucking war for us. Yeah, whatever. It's fucking shit posting on IRC, dude.
So is it possible we can get the full conversation so it's not taken out of context?
I don't know. Dude, it's IRC. You can treat that whole log as fucking shit posting, man. You can take snippets out of that and paint me as, you know, the craziest guy in the world.
Well, it's not my screenshot. I just got it from somebody else.
Yeah, and you know this is a snippet in there.
Conspiracy, you said SecretSquaff?
I'm sorry?
You said the conspiracy retweeted this?
She did it some time ago. Yeah, like she's the one who tweeted it at first.
So she's also spreading kind of something out of context and spreading misinformation, because I believe if that extra few lines about it being Allah Akbar and all that stuff, it would be clearly seen as a joke or as, you know, just, you know, being extreme for extreme's sake.
So if these guys, you know, for me, it's a win. If these guys are treating, you know, 4chan shit posts and IRC logs as their core contention, let them. You know,
yeah, I agree.
What we're exposing on them are financial contracts, secret fucking you know, mailing lists where they define and discuss and they police each other's behavior, you know, to control the signal of fucking games journalism. I mean, let them, you know, talk about my shit posts. Let them dig up all my fucking shit posts from the past, man. I mean, I don't care. Shit.
Well, can somebody in the chat who's maybe listening and has heard of this, can they get the full thing so it's not taken out of context anymore? I really think...
I'll work on that and I'll post it into the...
well, you know, they can take everything out of context from what was said in a very, you know, or take into context what was said from some IRC channel with obviously chaotic features and a very chaotic movement. It's silly that we're still bringing up that IRC channel, but for, you know, for the sake of everything, you know, if you're gonna hold me accountable to every fucking thing I say on the goddamn internet, well, duh, you're painting me into a corner. I'm gonna tell you to fuck off. You know, GamerGate isn't about RogueStar. You know, I may have issues that I am sharing, you know, that are part of the movement. I'm not some freaking, you know, leader here. You know, they try to paint me as a more public voice. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we've established that. I mean, we can't take everything that we read online seriously. IRCs and Twitter should be a place where you're allowed to dick around without feeling, you know, that you're going to come under scrutiny. And because you are now more of a public figure, people are holding to a scrutiny that you do not want or did not ask for.
Yeah. Keep in mind, I started off this band. All right. People
It's
follow
no
me.
different when
That's on them.
when Miley Cyrus is seen as a role model for young girls and they get mad at her for acting out when she's like, "I never said I was a role model. You guys said I was a role model."
Well, I'm
It's
not.
no
I'm
different
not
here.
even assuming they think I'm a role model. Half of my Twitter followers, they may be shills. I might have the shill hive right now.
People
All my
refer to you
followers.
as maybe they will not maybe say the word role model, but they do refer to you as someone who's vocal in the movement and as for lack of a better term, a leader of Operation Vox Populi, which they thought is part of GamerGate. The problem is that GamerGate's a bunch of different offices, a bunch of different people. But now that you know that you are coming under scrutiny, that people on our side would like to have more transparency and all kind of want to be on this. Do you see why maybe your previous stuff is taken out of context? Do you understand why that was done?
I understand completely because they're
Okay.
trying to paint me as one of the leaders of GamerGate, and I can easily shrug that off.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. They can aim their sights at me. I can shadow tank. I don't
Have
give
you
a
ever
shit.
referred to yourself as a megaphone and you are games journalism the way Lee Alexander did?
No, believe the APG article. I responded to that, where it's like, yeah, Leigh Alexander thinks she's a megaphone. That's a thing. No, I'm not a megaphone. I am a neutron bomb. I've been sitting here waiting for the right time to explode.
And really, if anyone wants the real leader of Gamergate, it's the Doritos Pope.
Say what again?
Shout out
Sorry.
to Fugitive, the king. The Doritos Pope, he's our real leader.
Yeah, the,
If they
the
want to go after
leader
anyone.
of GamerGate is the Marshmallow. I mean, the base Tyrone, or I'm sorry, Dorito Pope. I mean, there's no leader here. It's quite obvious. People follow me because they want to follow me and see my shit posts. I mean, they
Yeah.
want to have fun, or they want to, or they're a bunch of shells trying to take me out of context. I don't fucking care about all of this, man. I mean, that's one thing I'm also fighting against in this fucking industry. Um, with certain literally who figures, what they're doing is they're trying to be the rock star game developer. They're trying to be on top of fucking everything, and they're trying to, just be at the top and look down from their fucking ivory tower against the dirty console peasants or whatever. It's
Right.
I hate that shit. As a game
May I
developer,
also say that when it comes down to it, we are all internet personalities, I mean, and independent developers, whereas these people were claiming to be professional journalists. They are the ones to be held to a higher standard. We are the ones with the freedom to do what we want because we're not trying to come off as
yeah,
some sort of
exactly. And what I'm trying to
unbiased
fight
voice.
against is basically game developers who try to outshine gamers. That shouldn't be the case anymore. It's these people who put themselves elevated on a pedestal and look at me. I'm a fucking victim. I got misogyny on me. Here's my fucking Patreon. I mean, come on. I'm trying to stop that shit because it's really harming the business. It's the gamers that should be the fucking rock star now, not game developers. We just make the games you like. Hopefully you'll like my game. Uh, you're gonna tell me to fuck off. Hey, that's part of the business, man. I mean, I deal with what a lot of they call harassment. To me, is a 24/7 thing for the past 5 years. I get hate mail, I get spam mail. When you receive your first threat over the internet of all places, oh my God, that's like an achievement. Hey, I got a death threat because they hated something in the game. I mean,
So it's fair to say you have a chip on your shoulder because of it. I mean, we all should.
I got more than a chip off my fucking shoulder against these guys. It's been fucking obvious. I'm out there to gun them. I'm here to destroy certain entities and certain structures. To me, it's not personal. I don't know any of these targets. In real life, they've done me no personal harm, but what they're doing is something disruptive that will harm the profession, will harm future game developers. It harms gaming culture itself, and I find it my personal mission is stomp it into the fucking ground. You know,
All
That's my thing. I come from the radical fringe side of this. There are more moderate voices in GamerGate. We come from all walks of life, dude. And if they, try to attack the fringe side of this and attack me, I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. Tag my shit posts. I dare you. Let's see if you can you can do all of it.
I think it's fair to say that not everyone's going to agree about the direction Gamergate should take, but we are all free to use the hashtag as we see fit. And if you do
Yeah.
disagree with a certain direction, then express that in a polite way with each other, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want transparency and
Yeah.
disclosure in journalism. We want games to be created on the basis of art, not on the policing of social justice warriors, and we just want to play games. And I hope that everyone, remembers that when you are disagreeing with people inside of the movement. Squaff, you haven't spoken in a while. Did you have another question or anything you'd like to follow up with?
Yes. My bad. I was letting you talk because it is.
No, we appreciate it.
Thing this is your thing. I'm just the guy asking the questions. So if I can get my notes back up here,
Sure.
give me a moment. So we're getting close to the end here, and I don't have much else I have to provide.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to make notes, putting your questions point by point. We were able to address it in a healthy and positive way, and I think that we came to a lot more understanding. For anyone that was trying to, outside the movement or inside the movement, that tries to look up this information, they get a lot of different threads, they get a lot of different answers, and they get a lot of different people saying different things. Now we were able to hear concerns from the community and get direct answers that I felt did answer the full questions. If anyone else has further questions, please submit them, and we'll try to get them answered at a later date.
So this last part's going to be a bit longer than usual, if that's okay with you, Rogue. There's a bit of explaining at the beginning, and then I need to post an article to Achilles so he knows what I'm talking about, and then I'll go over why myself as a game developer cannot support Vox Populi, at least out in the open, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So there's this Federal Trades Commission article about these things, and I know you've probably seen them, but I want to make sure everybody knows exactly what we're talking about when we talk about this. I've highlighted some parts that I think are important to what's going on here. And I'm quoting, "Any company may, on its own, refuse to do business with another firm, but an agreement among competitors not to do business with targeted individuals or businesses may be an illegal boycott, especially if the group of competitors working together has a market power." Now, you said that other game developers have come out in support of what you're doing, which is Vox Populi.
Oh, no, I did not say that. I said other developers came out in support of GamerGate.
Okay, my bad. So the second part is boycotts to prevent a firm from entering a market or to disadvantage an existing competitor are also illegal. Now, I have an article that was written by, I can't remember who it was, but it was written for Pocket Attacks, where you were coming out about Zynga, but I believe you were also advertising your game, and this shows, I believe this is a legal area.
Wait, what?
That I'm not.
No, there's no advertising on the Pocket Tactics article. Those people on Pocket Tactics came to me. I did not go to them. So it's not advertising.
So what about the Polygon article where they also talked about Zynga?
They came to me too. I've been published on Polygon with a couple of projects, and also, let's see, articles about Zynga and my fucking flame war with them. Polygon came to me.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, but it still looks like a legal problem as far as my opinion goes, and I can't.
Wait, hold on. Why is it a legal problem?
Well, because the articles attack your old employer, Zynga, so they're putting them at a disadvantage while they're propping up a game that you are making.
No, it's not attacking in terms of, like, those articles. One, I was no longer employed at Zynga. So, let's see. I'm no longer restricted and bound to them in terms of legalese. I'm not beholden to some, what do you call this, some non-compete agreement. I never signed those. Those are fucking stupid. But I criticize Zynga as someone who used to work there, who left the company of my own accord because they were practicing stuff that I believe is fucking just downright unethical. Both
RogueStar, just 1 second. So you did not sign an NDA and you did not sign a non-compete disclosure, correct?
With Zynga, I signed an NDA, but it dealt with technology and specific stuff while I am employed. I don't sign those non-competes. Those are fucking stupid, and I never signed one. But to get to your point where I am a developer now smearing or essentially attacking my former employer, it's more of criticizing my former employer. I'm very open about that. Some people in the industry don't like that because they say it's burning bridges. That's not really an unethical or ethical problem. That's more of a problem of dealing business. For me, burning bridges, I find it necessary when I find, some stuff that just doesn't jive with my ethical fiber. And please believe me, I have some ethical fiber in this. I left the company and I'm criticizing them over certain things that I find unethical. I broadcast that on Polygon. They reached out to me. I didn't pay for that article. What else?
Well, what do you mean when you say broadcast?
Broadcast as in Polygon was willing to, hear my side of the story? Yes. Here it is. I will say everything that you want to ask. Broadcast it.
Did you ever say in any of those articles or coverage to buy your game, not Zynga's?
No.
Okay.
And you've never said that on the Gama Sutra blogs?
What do you mean?
Well, you had blogs with Gama Sutra where you did go into detail about Zynga.
But none
about technology,
I had a couple of
correct?
articles that dealt with Zynga, one with a snide joke and, well, not really snide joke, where, let's see, a couple of articles criticizing sort of like the social games movement, not just specifically Zynga. Let's see, another article where I criticized essentially, what's his fucking face? Mark Pincus, the CEO. He had this speech about fucking, fail. You should fail fast so that you can see stuff and move quickly. And to me, I'm just a trained U.S. Marine, pissed off veteran. For me, failure is something you shouldn't strive for. Making mistakes and learning from them, hell yeah. But there was a meme going around Silicon Valley called "Failed Fast," and I posted an article criticizing Mark Pincus about it, where, failure is something you shouldn't try to strive for. Fuck you. That's the gist of the article. What else? Oh, I wrote that article after I left Zynga, and that was posted on Gama Sutra. No, it didn't get featured. It didn't get a lot of hits, but it was just an opinion piece to me. And I'm getting your sort of feel for this, where the FTC thing, I believe, Squaff, like corporations going on boycott with other corporations or trying to undermine them through some means. Everything I'm doing right now, it's not as a corporation. That's my answer to that one. I'm doing this as an individual. I'm doing this with gamers who, need my information and will be. They will benefit to it. What else? Can you elaborate on the FTC thing again? I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
If you like, I can quote it back to you if you wish.
Yeah, quote it again. Quote it again.
So the first part, and I would like to clarify that this is why I can't support you in what you're doing, because I too am a game developer, and so I can't like legally I'm not allowed to support you. But what it says is any company may, on its own, refuse to do business with another firm, but an agreement among competitors not to do business with targeted individuals or businesses may be an illegal boycott, especially if the group of competitors working together has market power. Now the second part, which is part of it...
Hold on. Let's tackle this first part now, because I want to address that. So when you say competitors in that one, it says competitors in LLCs. Like I'm saying, oh, this is RogueStar Games, that company as a company entity colluding with another company entity.
But you are an LLC. You are the corporation.
No, I'm doing this as Slade Villiena. I own corporations. I'm not using the corporations to do those things. You see the difference here?
Well, the problem is that you're actually doing it under the name RogueStar. Everything that you posted has been under the name RogueStar, and so I would
Yeah.
like to support what you're doing, much like I would Jade. But I can't write. Obviously, I can't write out to advertisers because I'm still a game dev. But I can still support what she does. But when you do this under the name RogueStar Games, even if you spell it a little differently, because you already own the LLC for RogueStar Games, it
Yeah.
looks
It's with
like
an
you're
S
doing
or
it
is it
under
with a
the name.
Z? Is it with
Yeah,
an S or a Z?
just to clarify it again, RogueStar Industries is my LLC. RogueStar Games is just one part of that
Well,
LLC. It's a
I
title.
actually have the
I mean,
LinkedIn, and it only says RogueStar Games. Like
well,
that's what
yeah,
they
there
gave
you
you
go.
rights to.
If you see it as a problem with naming, I don't know what to say to you, dude, because I'm doing this as an individual. I've come out in articles with my name on it. You know, I'm
Right.
attached to.
But what he's saying is whether or not what your intent is, the way that it is perceived, because if RogueStar Games is what you're listed under LinkedIn in, and if
Yeah.
that's under your LLC,
Yeah.
they can use that against you.
Yeah, and let them try because, none of this is tied to my company at all. This is tied to me as an individual. In terms of because my Twitter account is what is being used, I stated clearly on my Twitter account that this is personal and professional mixed. This is not the official LLC, the official Twitter LLC for RogueStar Games. This is me as an individual. If it's a naming problem, well, okay, you have a naming problem with me. Done. You can't support it because you have the naming problem attached to it. If
It's not the problem of naming. I think what he's saying is that because he is a developer and if he's seen colluding with you as another developer to say don't support these developers, that could be seen as
no, we're not boycotting other game devs. We're
But you're
boycotting.
boycotting people in the game industry, and they don't.
We're picking cherries. That's pissing me off,
Yeah.
Squaff. Now we're picking cherries and goddamn oranges.
Okay, hold
over
on.
this
Let's
shit.
not get heated here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
unless we specifically say Ubisoft, EA, BioWare, whatever the name of the actual company is, if you
Yeah.
guys are saying we don't like this developer, that is fine. If you're going after a corporation under both of your guys' company names, that is collusion and that is illegal.
yeah, and another thing here is, if I have a disagreement with another game developer, as in they make video games, I'll do those disagreements on me, on myself. Like when I was criticizing Zynga, I wasn't dragging other developers with me. I was like, yeah, this is my opinion. I wasn't trying to drag this developer, that developer to back me up or anything like that. Same thing with here. We're not targeting, me as a game dev in Operation Vox Populi. I wasn't targeting other game developers. I was targeting a specific set of, companies who are corrupt. They're in games journalism and blogging rings. They're the ones who have collusive relationships. Game Journal Pros proves that. They're the ones that are
Even if you
colluding.
are an LLC and you are operating under the name of RogueStar Industries, you can criticize the media outlets, and you can do that on the part of other developers.
I mean, they don't make video
What you
games.
cannot do is, if you're directly competing with a game company, you cannot attack that specific company.
Yeah. I'm not attacking a specific company, that makes other games with, in the same industry.
Did you ever say boycott Zynga?
Huh?
Have you ever said boycott Zynga?
I don't know. Might have. I don't know.
If you are promoting boycotting of Zynga, I understand where SecretSquaff is coming from, because if he, as a developer, does that along with you, that can be seen as a legal problem.
Yeah. But
because the names are so close, and they can use that against you.
That's right. And when I was criticizing Zynga, I was criticizing them from the perspective of a former employee. And people will say, "Hey, you're a bitter ex-employee." All right, that's your opinion. I mean,
and I hope you understand that this isn't. I don't think what SecretSquaff is trying to do is come after you at all. I think he just wants to make sure that we're all.
All the questions were aimed at me, dude.
We're all no. I mean, when he's pointing out the legal ramifications, it's not because he wants you persecuted. It's because he wants you safe.
Say what?
it's not because he wants you persecuted. It's because he wants you safe.
Well,
If he
that's
wants
not his
you,
responsibility. You know,
you're
if,
right. It is not his responsibility, but it's also as a concerned gamer, him bringing this to your attention. I think you're perceiving this as an attack, and it isn't. It's just saying, okay, if these are legal ramifications, please be aware of this. Is that fair to say, Squaw?
that's fair to say. Let's see.
Well, could we let Squaw? Could you respond
Oh, I'm
with
sorry,
that, please?
sorry, didn't hear that.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly my point. Like, not only do I believe that Rogue is putting himself in a position where I would rather he's not in, because I want to see his game finished. I want to actually play it someday. But when other game developers decide to go in with you, they really need to know that they are putting themselves in the same position, and I rather no game developer does that. It doesn't matter.
I agree. I agree.
But
Game
Squaw,
developers should not join RogueStar Games and whatever RogueStar Games does. RogueStar Games does what it wants on its own.
But RogueStar, under the RogueStar Twitter, have you ever called for a boycott of a specific gaming company?
On the RogueStar Twitter, no.
Okay, and the reason is because if you do that, that could be seen. Not that it is, but it could be perceived that way, and it could tie you up in a possible legal battle.
Exactly.
So,
and what's happening in GamerGate right now?
That was all Squaw's intent, but just to make sure that aware to be careful, because once, like he said, he wants to see your game finished. We all do. I mean,
And in terms of legal ramifications, if people try to sue me, it's going to be through an individual. You're dealing with America, you're dealing with the First Amendment, and you're dealing with a pissed off U.S. veteran. So come at me, bro. You want to sue me? I'm right here.
Just so you know, we do support you, and we got your back. And it's more of, hey, bud, just keep your eyes open and be careful. I think that's kind of the tone he's trying to present.
Yeah, and what I have a deal with this is, at least the movement, right now, the movement is targeting a lot of game journalism. Well, they're game blogging rings with a lot of power. They have a lot of PR power. They have a lot of financial power. They have a lot of people reading them, which is not the case anymore. They're not my competitors, all right? They're actually parasites in my industry. And I'm gunning for them. They don't make games. Fuck them. Replace them, burn their castles, burn everything that they touched, so that this doesn't happen again. I mean, think about this. If we fail in GamerGate, if these guys stay in business, we're doomed, because now they have blanket power to smear any game developer as they see fit.
They will control the narrative. Unless we take them down, they control the narrative, and we no longer have a say in what gets published.
Yeah, it's time to burn them down, replace them with sites that are even-minded and respect their readers. It's what started this whole thing. So I have no issues with it coming as a game developer, because they're not game makers. With other game makers,
you are allowed to criticize the media that covers you.
Yes, I am allowed to criticize and fucking burn down the media that covers my industry and my clients, and hopefully future clients.
Did you, SecretSquaff, do you feel like you communicated what you wanted to communicate when it came down to the legal ramifications of attacking another developer? And do you see that his intent is to act as an individual and to go after publications, not developers?
Well, if you guys don't mind, I'm getting outside information from somebody else that I haven't been able to verify yet. There was another. Wait, I'm getting a message. Okay, so there was actually something else that's a lot smaller, but I kind of want Rogue to cover it, because I think he would be the best voice to talk about this.
Okay.
A couple of days ago, somebody brought up a GamerGate jam, and it was using that hashtag, not GamerGate, but GamerGate jam. And before that, Jade Fox was advertising game devs, and there's been a split with people saying advertising game devs under the GamerGate hashtag is okay, but the GamerGate jam thing is not. And I know I've seen you favorite one and talk about the other. Could you give an opinion about both of them so people understand where you're coming from?
So if Yeah, it's kind of a hot button topic on promoting game developers on the GamerGate tag. For me, I'm not talking legal here. I'm talking like just in terms of style and good marketing. That's not presumptuous looking. If you want to self promote your Patreon and your video game on GamerGate, expect some backlash because self promotion is not cool. But I'm if people want to promote you, you as a game developer, and they want to invite you to a stream, hey, promote your game under GamerGate. This is a game developer that supports GamerGate and believes in ethical journalism and uh, doesn't support harassment, and we should clean up. Fine. We've been doing that to Daniel Vavra. I mean, they're not self-promoting on GamerGate. That's the core issue here. If a game dev self-promotes on GamerGate hashtag, they will get a lot of backlash because it's just bad style. Anyway, that's the first issue. The second issue is this GamerGate jam. I cannot provide any clean sort of judgment on this because this just literally hit my radar. What time is it? 3 hours ago. It hit my radar, and some people had questions to me, and my vast underground network of collusion and conspirators working from the shadows of the GamerGate Council.
The shadowy cabal.
Yes, we have our own cabal, dead. Anyway, some people who don't want to be named, want to remain anonymous, have showed me some questions about GamerGate Jam, and I don't know much about it. Uh, and here's a problem again with the guy who started the GamerGate Jam thing. I asked a question, one question actually, and the question was, is GamerGate Jam producing a wide variety of games or just one game? Because that's the too long didn't read version of all the questions I had, and I put it out there diplomatically. And what happened was, not too long, he answers the question, apparently the guy who started GamerGate Jam, and then accuses me of being paranoid, and accuses me of, well, watch your tone, and, just starts freaking out on goddamn Twitter again. I mean, come on, dude. What my opinion is on GamerGate Jam right now? The person who's promoting it is doing it wrong. That's my opinion right now.
Yeah,
Squaff, does that answer
that's
your
fair.
question?
Yeah, that's fair. Like, I don't know much about it. I was only told about it much like you. And I decided to signal boost it because I saw, like, the GamerGate forums, and it was a single project that everybody was going to get into. I thought it looked fun. Like, I wasn't sure I could contribute because it looked like it was going to be 3D, and I work with 2D models, but it looked fun. Now,
It looked fun, and my contention with this one, this is a philosophical contention. People who want to join that jam, because apparently you're just making one game, but it's like game jams are supposed to be a whole bunch of games, dude, not just one game. So rename it, call it the GamerGate game. I mean, it's weird because they're trying to do a jam, but there's only one game. Game jams in the past have always been, hey, let's make a lot of games, a lot of devs, a lot of games, a lot of talent, not just a lot of devs, one game. That's not how game jams work.
Yeah, you're right, and hopefully he heard this, and maybe he'll fix that so it's more of a multiple thing. Somebody asked me on Skype, and this is like coming out of nowhere, but it is coming from somebody that I do trust, and they want me to ask you if you have asked other devs to spread around Vox Populi.
Let's see. I have been warned about that by another developer who basically was upfront about it. We've resolved it, and my action on that is I do Vox Populi on my own, and I refrain from, asking other developers to do it as well, because it's.
But you
just
have done it though.
I tried doing it, and that developer told me, "Hey, do this. You can't do that, dude. There's just too much heat." And I was like,
say
"Okay."
why?
Say what?
Did they say why?
Because they didn't want to get involved in it and the legal stuff, and it looks bad. It was just they don't want to take that kind of heat. So I was like,
Well,
okay,
do you
cool.
mind if I quote a little bit of what I was given about it? Like just a little part.
I want to hear about it.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so
I've dragged on this issue so much, dude.
I appreciate you doing it just a little bit.
Yeah, this is dragging on. Literally, how many times am I going to ask the same question that I've justified over and over
let's
and over again?
for a second here, Rogue. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Squaff.
go right at it,
This
dude.
is my last thing, man, and that's it. You won't have to worry about this anymore. So the message I was given is you link them the Vox Populi thing and then say, please spread that around. Sunday, October 5th, Nighttime USA, I got a plan, super fun. You were told by the person I won't name because I don't want to get them in legal trouble, is got to be careful because we're both developers. We can't be colluding to do certain things. And your reply was PFFT.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and I'm sorry to that developer for getting her dragged into this again. She shouldn't. But yeah, I've discussed with that developer in full context of everything I've explained to you in the past 30 minutes.
Has already been solved.
Everything
with that developer is solved. You guys have communicated. It's all good.
Everything I've mentioned in the past 45 minutes, I literally just explained to that developer. So this is like the 10th time.
I mean, if that's the question, that's, I mean, once again, I understand why it would be very frustrating having to repeat yourself over and over again, but we have it on the record, it has been squashed, and it has been covered. Do you accept that answer, SecretSquaff?
I think that's great, as long as it was brought up and it was covered. And obviously, there's no colluding going on with other developers, so it's good.
So here, just to further squash this again, it's corporate on corporate collusion. I read the cliff notes on that FTC law. Corporate on corporate collusion. If you're acting as individuals, yeah, that's just the thing.
As individuals, like you cannot target other individuals, and you can't be an individual company attacking either individuals or businesses.
What?
Well, as an LLC, you act for yourself. You are your business.
No.
There's no jumping around that.
My LLC is a separate entity. It has its own social security number. That's not how it works, dude.
Well, then you are two people, and you're acting for two people.
No, I'm not. That's wrong. What I do on my own is my own.
It may just be a disagreement on the actual technicalities of it. I will look into it with the lawyer, and we will post it, just so we're all clear. Because once again, RogueStar, we do want to see your game. We don't want to see you get in trouble. And we just want to make sure everything's on the up and up.
Well, yeah, and here's the up and up on this. It's, what I do on my own is not related to what I do as an LLC.
I don't disagree with that. I feel like as a person you should absolutely have your freedom of speech. I am just unsure about, I think there might be just confusion about how the law works, and even, and if we might very well be wrong, and all of us might be wrong, we're not sure. So we'll talk to someone who does know what they're talking about, and we'll get the final answer on that. There's no reason for us to debate it, because none of us are lawyers, I can say. I think we're all
so the next time
here.
These questions are brought up,
we can talk about JavaScript.
I'd like to talk to lawyers about
authority. Yeah, so I think
if this is brought up again, lawyers. That's all I got to say. Bring it up again, bring some lawyers already.
Well, as a game developer, I can't bring lawyers against you for something you never did to me.
Well, yeah, it's like I'm getting asked questions about this. Bring a lawyer in.
It's about understanding. I think people are just confused about the issue. I do have one thing, though. I did read through the chat logs there, and I don't see like the Allah Akbar or anything like that. Allah Akbar was mentioned by somebody later in the chat. Yes,
it's got to be in there.
But I'm reading this, and I can see how the tone can be taken as if it's serious. I can see how the tone of it, of how it comes across to me as an outside reader. It comes across like not like, I mean, you said it yourself. You're a military guy, and you spoke in that language, and I think that's why people were construing it that way. And I'm not accusing you or anything, and I absolutely agree that it's just shit posting on IRC. Your feet shouldn't be held to the fire for stuff that you say on there. But I think the
feed
reason,
feed my foot to the fire. I don't care. I mean, it's
I
IRC
mean, whether or not you care, I feel like you shouldn't be treated that way. But yeah, just so people are, before people take it, run with it. Yeah, you did not say Akbar. But the previous stuff you did say.
It was more
But
of a shitpost response to fucking David Faraci. I mean,
yeah, and
just
like
full
that's what I'm
disclosure.
saying. I
I'm
don't
a
want
veteran
people
U.S.
latching
Marine.
onto some sort of conspiracy theory here and be like, "Oh, those exact words weren't said." Okay, we'll clear it up
Yeah, I
here.
mean,
Those words were not said. The tone is very serious, although I believe you when you say that you were joking.
well, it comes from programmer culture. Haha, I'm only serious.
Yeah.
You look that up on the jargon file in programmer slang. Haha, I'm only serious. It's half joking, half serious. Oh my God, you said that.
I just wanted to
So
make sure that you're corrected, just in case you don't, if you do repeat it, that you aren't misquoting yourself. That's it.
yeah, and again, I'm not doing this for PR. I'm not like pretending to be a PR face or a YouTube celebrity. I don't give a shit, dude. I'm just another broke indie game developer trying to make it in the world, and I'm pissed off at the fucking game journal cabal. And bam, let's fucking go for them.
And
That's
I
me.
think, and thank you, Squaw, for bringing this stuff up, because at the end of the day, we don't want to see indie devs get attacked by people. They have deep pockets. At the end of the day, Vox has deep pockets. If they go after us and they even have a semi-legal standpoint to stand on, they can attack and tie us up in litigation forever. And no one wants that. So we need to cover our asses extra carefully. We need to be very, very careful and make sure we understand, or we're falling right within the rules of the law, and that we're not falling into any gray areas, just to keep ourselves safe. And I don't see. I'm not sure what it is. My understanding of the law is that it's individuals or businesses, but once again, Rogue can test that, and I don't know. I'm a Canadian. I don't know American law. So if you say it has its separate social security number and you feel like you're safe, I trust your judgment. But for the listeners, we will be looking into it as well, just to make sure. Is that fair? Does everything got covered? RogueStar, do you feel like you were heard here?
Hello? What was
Hello?
that?
Do you feel like you were heard here? Did we cover all the bases that you wanted to cover?
Yeah. I mean,
Once again, I'm sorry that it
it's
started off the way that it did with the miscommunication, but I appreciate you
yeah.
engaging and
It got
explaining.
heated. There's no beef. I mean, I got heated on some arguments too. It's just, this is frustrating. It's
I
dealing with the
absolutely
same
understand.
questions over and over again.
Yeah,
And I've
that's
already
insanity.
answered
It can drive
this.
someone crazy, for sure.
Yeah, I've already answered this. I feel like I'm on a grand jury thing. I'm like, oh my God.
And to help you make sure that you don't have to go through this again, we will make a point-by-point, concise point imager. I will have you review it to make sure it covers everything that we talked about here, and then you can share that and we can all share that. Once people are like, what about this? What about this? Like, we covered it. It's here. Go check it, and we'll have all the links up there. Squaff, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, the secret Skype call that's getting all this controversy. Could you talk to us about that and how, RogueStar, you were once of a part of it and you chose to leave because you felt like you mistrusted some people in that
Let me
chat?
clarify. Let me
Please.
clarify on that. I was not part of that. Like, I didn't start or
But by
ask to get
part, I meant
invited.
you were on the call at one point.
I was a guest, and
Okay.
be very clear, I was a guest in there, I believe 3 times. I've had some very heated and candid talks in there, and no more beef on that one. It's a resolved issue. They broke a line of trust. I got mad at that because they broke a line of trust.
Could
Now
you
that
talk to
beef
us
is
about
resolved.
that?
Say what?
Could you talk to us about broken line of trust? Because that's very cryptic.
All right. Just to be clear, the SecretSquaff, no more beef. It's fine. Resolved. But in communication with things like GamerGate, where half, or I would say 90% of our forces work through anonymous means, like they can't get tied to doxing, they can't tie their own personal accounts to this, they got to work in the shadows. If you're operating under an environment where a lot of people are working through anonymous means, opening a line of trust, that's super critical, because you gotta assume, all right, trust but verify, right? You gotta trust somebody first. You
Sure.
gotta open up to them and share information. And it, when you share information with someone like that, they could start using that against you.
Right.
They can gank you in the back with that shit. And if you break a line of trust in an anonymous movement like this, you're basically fucking the whole movement, man. Because
What
now
specifically was done to you? Like, what information was leaked that you
there was
felt
just
came from the
some
chat?
candid information leaked out in
Can you
chat
share
on
that with
Twitter
us?
and mentions on direct message. I mean, I was like, wait, what? That fucking
Could you share
leaked?
the information that they leaked?
No, it's none of anybody's business, and it's candid, and it's speculative stuff.
Was
It's
it personal information or was it involving
no,
GamerGate?
no, I'm not going to detail it at all. It's just hush hush stuff. It's supposed to be candid and private. And that got leaked out to just a few people, and it hit my radar. And I'm like, dude, you broke a line of trust. One of y'all fucking talk. Come on, But anyway,
Okay.
that's resolved for me. If people are going to open lines of trust in this movement, be very, very careful with that. Because you're opening up to another person, you're sharing information, and if you break that line of trust, it's going to escalate to the rest of the movement. It's going to
Right,
be
but you
people
also
discussing.
understand that some people view your actions as harmful to the movement too. I mean, the same could be said about Operation Vox Populi. The same could be said about anything there.
Yeah,
Whether or not it's good for the
cascade.
whole movement, it's really up to them to decide. I do understand the feeling of betrayal. If you felt like this chat was supposed to be private and information was leaked, you have every right to leave, and you have every right to be upset. But although we shouldn't criticize those that did it as hurting the movement, because anybody's actions can be perceived by anyone as either helping or harming the movement.
Yeah, and my thing there is, trust lines, be very careful of that, because once you break trust, it spreads. It spreads everywhere.
Okay.
And
And sorry, Squaff, could you just talk a little bit about this Skype chat? Because people, I think, have misconception that there's some sort of secret cabal. We've been accused of such. I've been in Skype chat. I've seen what goes on in there. Mostly, it's talked about comic books and movies. But could you tell us from your own words, as a person who created the Skype chat, what its intent was and how it started?
Okay, well, first off, I would like to say thanks, Rogue. You didn't have to come in here and talk to me, and I really appreciate it. You did something that most people wouldn't do, and I think you got like some serious guts. Like most people would not want to talk to me like this, because they usually expect me to attack them. So what you did is amazing, and I'm very happy that you were willing to do this with me.
yeah,
Now,
no
about
beef, dude. I'll apologize for the tone and getting heated, and that's just me. But there's no beef between us. That's all. Just
I'm
hey,
glad to
I
hear
some
that.
feel the
advice
same
to
way,
you,
man.
man. You guys open a line of trust, and you guys have candid stuff. Keep that locked the fuck down. Seriously.
Well, actually, our Skype chat is actually public. We actually advertise it every once in a while. And I have made rules, okay? You cannot record while you're in our chat. That's part of the rules. And it's so that if stuff does get leaked, it's only hearsay. And the only reason it gets backed up is if you say it's backed up. But we don't have rules against people going somewhere else and talking about it. Not too long ago, some guy we had to kick out of the chat because he was being very disgruntled about situations, and he decided to go to 8chan and tell them I was a secret shill that ran a secret cabal, and
See what
that's
I
fine.
mean? It's like break.
No. See, I think that's fine. I do not mind. It's not part of the rules. If somebody wants to go and spill the beans somewhere else, as long as they didn't record it, they did not break any of the rules, and it's hearsay at that point. I could deny it all, and that's the beautiful thing about our Skype chat, is that we allow it to be public and open for anybody to just talk about it. And typically, we don't even talk about GamerGate. Like we got into a long conversation about Ninja Turtles. In fact, we started calling ourselves the Digra Turtles, a DARPA and a half shell. I think it's great. We have so many amazing talks. We get to talk to like game developers and journalists, and we get to hear their opinions about things, and it's great. And I loved it when you came on and you talked to us about your game and you talked to us about what you were doing. I feel if you feel like we broke a line of trust, I feel sorry for that, because obviously we did not communicate the rules properly to you. But when you asked, I did say it wasn't going to be recorded, and I meant that. Nobody recorded anything you said.
Yeah,
You
it's just
weren't.
Yeah,
Yeah, Rogue never
it's
claimed
water
that
under
though.
the
You
bridge.
just said that the information was leaked, correct?
Say what?
You never claimed that it was recorded. That I understand.
No, I never
Okay.
claimed it was recorded. It's just details about that stuff that I talked about. I was like, hey, keep this locked down.
Well,
And
we've actually had like other people come in, like Monday and Matt, and I've told Matt, you know, if you come in here with King of Pole and you tell him something and he tells other people, that's on you, man. You gave the information to King of Pole. It's his to use at that point. And that's how we kind of run. If you want to have a line of trust, you also have to trust who you're telling your information to. And if
yeah,
you can't trust the rest of the Skype call, I'm going to be honest. It's just not a place you're going to want to be at, and I respect your decision not to. Like, I think that's good on you because you are doing a lot of deep research into things, and I don't think that a public Skype call like that is a good place to actually talk about it. And I'm
yeah,
sorry that you thought it was private. Whoever told you it was private, that's the problem. Like, if they told you it was private, that was the problem. It's public.
okay. I guess you weren't there when. I don't think you were, but I
I'm
thought.
getting information from the chat that says that you made an accusation against Web Archive, and then some people got heated and started slinging names, and then
Wait, what? What's this?
that's just the information I got. This is the exact information I got. Uh, you made accusations against Web Archive.
Uh
People
huh.
wrongfully called you names, and that's why you decided to leave. Is that correct? Or is that
Let's
part of?
see.
I mean, there could be lots of reasons, but is that part of the reasons?
Why I decided to leave? I got some private reasons on that. I'm not gonna air.
That's fine. You,
But
you you can answer whatever question you feel fit.
yeah, and there basically I had to leave that chat because here's another one. I'm in chats everywhere. I'm
Yeah,
on
yeah.
IRC, UTalk, Skype.
Rogue, I'm just curious. Is it possible you gave that information to a different chat? Like,
uh,
I'm not saying that you did. I'm just asking.
okay, you're the one. You're that Skype channel with Mundane Matt in it, right?
Well, he goes on, as far as I know, he goes into others. And I would like to make it clear that I'm only one of the hosts, and my boss is actually Queenie. So if Queenie tells me I can't do something, that's it. You know, she
Okay.
gets the last,
I guess you guys
thing.
are. God. Now I'm confusing which group is which group. Uh, let's see. It Queenie? No. Yeah, I think it was like the serious version of your Skype that I got invited to.
Uh,
Let's see.
I'm sorry, Rogue, but we just don't do serious. We've tried doing like serious talks with King of Pole, but like it's never worked out right. Like we
So
did
you
do one
don't do
live stream with them
serious.
too. Well,
Okay.
only,
For,
but that was
For the
before we got
listeners of
you
the
in.
chat here who may be confused, my understanding was that the Skype call was just so a bunch of GamerGators could get together and chat in a free forum because Twitter's a little difficult to carry threads, and it is an open public chat that others can join. Once again, I am not in the game development scene. I'm a movie podcaster, and I was able to join, no
Well,
problem. You linked to me, and I've been in the chats some late nights, and I've been on the calls, and rarely is anything serious discussed. Mostly we talk about movies. Today we talked about comic books and manga. Like, it's just kind of buddies bullshitting is how the chat comes off to me, at least. That may not be the intent, that may not be what their goal is, but that's all I've seen in the chat.
so what I mean when I say it was serious is that when we've had like people like King of Pole and other people in, they've tried to be serious, but then they share information with each other, and this is why we've had to make this rule, and it was before you got in, that it's very public, and if you share serious information, it's not up to us whether it's spilled by King of Pole or Mundane Matt. It's up to you to decide what you want to make public because it is a public Skype conversation.
The same way that you
Don't
may have misunderstood the tone of what Operation Vox Populi was doing is the same way that RogueStar could just misinterpret that the Skype chat was private.
Well,
And it
here's
just
what
caught in the
happened.
communication.
Here's what happened. I got an unsolicited call to that Skype chat. So I was like, who are these people? To me, that was like, okay, they're connected to Synthavine, and it was a group I
can,
left. Say what?
can you say who invited you?
Uh, I can't remember, dude. This is a
Well,
few
as
weeks
I
back.
recall, King of Pole invited you the first time, and the second time it was a game developer who actually wanted you to talk about your movement.
Oh, okay. I guess it's Code Grit. Are you guys with Code Grit?
He comes in, but I don't remember him inviting anybody. I'd rather not. We don't drop developer
Yeah.
names because we don't want to make it look like they're trying to collude with you to do anything.
Yeah,
Like
but
I don't
anyway,
mean that's
I
on
got an
your end.
unsolicited call, and Mundane Matt was supposedly in on it, and they wanted to ask me about security issues, NetSec stuff, and full disclosure, I'm not a network security expert. I am knowledgeable into the topic, but don't pretend that I'm fucking hacking a Gibson or any of that shit. But that was the call, and details of that call were leaked. And I specifically stated, do not disclose what I'm going to say right now to anybody. And
I'm sorry, Rogue, but
yeah.
the last time you were in, we actually talked about Skype bots and how you were actively looking for them, and nobody said anything
All
about
right,
that.
shut up right now. Shut up, just shut up.
Okay,
Just
first of
don't
all,
talk
let's not,
about
let's
that
not use
topic.
that language here. We can say,
Yeah.
please don't discuss that, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it comes
just
off inflammatory. Yeah,
again,
yelling, shut up.
I'm
Well,
sorry,
you didn't
but
tell us not to share that. I mean, you've already made it public. Like it was
yeah,
part of
I've
your
made it
honeypot.
public already, but let's not discuss that call, please. That's supposed to be just between all of us. Now it's dragged out into public.
SecretSquaff,
Well,
I think what he's trying to say is that that's the information that he doesn't want discussed. Could you respect that he doesn't want to discuss it, or would you like to discuss it?
well, see, I'm not going to discuss it because I don't think it's important to what we're trying to say here. When we started inviting people, it was supposed to be like a public bar. Like this guy right here, actually got drunk, and we like trolled the shit out of him while he was in our call. And he's not even the only one. We've done that with several people. It's very open, very friendly for anybody to be a part of. And I've told you, man, when you said don't record, like that was already a rule, so we didn't do it. But it's open, it's public. That's part of our rules.
Okay. I didn't hear about that rule. You guys invited me, approached me, called me. I have no contention, or I don't know. It's not my chat, dude. Yeah, my request when I got invited, don't talk about my stuff. I didn't hear about your rules. So that's the line of trust I'm talking about. I
And
made
once
a
again,
request.
it was just a miscommunication on that front. The same
Yeah,
way
it
that
was a
some of the stuff that comes
miscommunication,
up
and it
is
led to a
miscommunication.
breaking a line of trust. So you
Well,
can't do that.
I think we've covered most bases. Squaff, did you have any more questions, or can I wrap this up?
Well, I don't have any. And again, thank you. You answered all of my questions, and I think you were very fair about it. I would like to
Okay.
see I would like to see more about your game as you go through the development process, and I'd definitely like to play it because I am definitely into RTSs. Man, it's
This
been
is an
great talking
RTS,
to you.
dude.
Well, you know, the strategy kind of game. I just call them all RTSs because I'm like stupid old. I call
Yeah.
my Nintendo a Nintendo, and I play the Marios on it.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing me along and inviting me to, explain this. I appreciate settling the beef. Can we not bring up the beef again? I
Hey,
guess the rest of the
cool by
GamerGate
me.
movement, we need to stop quibbling over everybody's personal freaking details and, missing.
I mean, I hope this shows to the audience that,
I.
like, if there's two people that disagree with each other, specifically in the Gamergate movement, oftentimes it just comes down to simple miscommunication. At the end of the day, we all want to achieve the same thing. Can we both all agree that we want transparency in journalism?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
can we all agree that we want to have games that aren't policed by social justice warriors?
I guess. Actually,
And
yeah.
can we all agree that
I
we
say
just want to
definitely.
play games?
Oh yeah, playing
yes.
games, that's the default. I mean, Gamergate to me is an alternate reality MMO. I'm gonna gamify this and use this against my enemies. So there.
And we are all in this together. We are all gamers. We have a common thread, and we want the same thing. We may not agree about the methodology or the way to go about it. Some people like Operation Vox Populi, some people may not. Some people think certain things hurt the movement, and some people may not. But at the end of the day, just remember that it is our side, and united, we will stand stronger against them. We are up against an insanely powerful enemy. When you go into an instance in WoW, you don't do it by yourself. You do it as a team. And sometimes you have a shitty tank, a shitty healer, or a shaman who's going to suck up all the mana. But no matter what, you still work together to defeat that enemy. And Nexia needs to be
More
taken.
dots. More dots.
More dots.
More
And,
dots.
when we're together, we're a lot stronger. If we spend our time infighting and quibbling and attacking people on our own side, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to focus on going against the people that are trying to silence us, that are trying to mislead the public, and that are lying to their audiences. And once again, if we disagree about how we do that, politely say to them, I disagree with your methodology, this is what I'm doing, but focus on your way making GamerGate better and making it happen for us. Focus on that instead of policing everybody else. And I think that's everything I wanted to say. Is there anything else you guys like to say in closing?
Well, I would actually like to say that if these journalist sites like get their shit together and change what they're doing, I think there's no need to actually just burn them to the ground. But if they don't, I'm a developer and I can't do anything about it, but if consumers believe that that is a prerogative that they must have, I think that they should do what they feel is right. I can't tell them what right is. That's up to them.
Rogue?
More dots. More dots.
All right. Vote with your clicks, people. Support good sites and avoid the ones that are going to lie to their audience. The only way we can change this is if we do it together. I want to thank both of you for coming on to the show today. RogueStar, I know that you were being attacked, harassed pretty much nonstop, and I really appreciate you coming in here because I know it's not easy to go against detractors or to repeat yourself over and over again. And I really appreciate that. It took a lot of balls to do that, and thank you. SecretSquaff, thank you as well for taking the time to actually look through the information, address the concerns in a polite and civil manner, giving RogueStar the time to talk and explain himself, and being level-headed when it came to this. At the end of the day, I think it's pretty obvious that you just wanted to make sure that things were clarified and that we understood each other better. And by opening these lines of communication, you did a fantastic job of maintaining a non-aggressive tone, and I really, really appreciate that because I think it helped the discussion. And to everyone listening, thank you for listening. Spread the word around, and keep up the good fight. Until next time, we remain podcasting.